went up there and I had a chat to him. We've seen vision of him already. He's had a fibula operation. He's got instability of the knee, and he looks as though he's had an ice cream scoop taken out of his arm. So besides that, he's in pretty good health. But Jason Cripps is the new captain of St Kilda today, and a couple of moves that I've got. Aussie Jones will start on the ball, and Andrew Thompson will tag Riccardi today, Doc.
Yeah, of course, Brenton Sanderson and Corey Enright missing from last week's team. Cameron Lynn carrying an ankle into the game, guys. Stevie Lawrence also a sore foot. And Justin Kozitsky, having had some injections for some back trouble during the week, is starting on the bench.
Good on you, boys. Thank you very much. Dr. Peter Larkins has done everything but coach Geelong today. He's spoken at every breakfast and every lunch, but he'll be on top of it down there with Michael Roberts. Great to see Gary Ablett enjoying himself at the football as we welcome in commentary for the first time today, Brian Taylor.
Thank you, Gary. And yes, Doc Larkins has pounced up and down his home ground boundary line there like a caged lion. And I tell you what I'm looking for today. There's been so much talk about the youngsters of Geelong, the likes of Bartel, Foster, Ablett, Rourke, these type of players. I am looking forward to see how they perform. And of course, Dal Santo, the debutant for the St Kilda side as well. So very, very interesting start.
Nick Rewalt, the youngster, playing at centre half back. Max Hudgson's gone to Ben Graham. Ben Graham going to play full forward. Alongside him is Ronnie Burns, being picked up by Jason Cripps. So that will be a pivotal duel.
So it will be King and Noble in the ruck to start proceedings here at the newly named Skill Stadium. Umpires today, Quigley, Head and McInerney. King got a piece of it in the middle. Corey, quick hands off. Bartel, there he is, one of the youngsters already getting a touch. Kilpatrick streaming through the middle. Burns, one out.
Push.
He had out-positioned Cripps. It was illegal, said Gary Lyon, and rightly so. The free kick has been awarded to the acting captain for today, Jason Cripps.
He goes by hand over the top. Lenny Hayes has made some space for him across half-back for the Saints. His kick looking for but not finding Hamill. He could have been infringed. Tom Harley, full-chested charge at the footy, and he's hurt in that exchange. Peter Riccardi picks the ball up, however, and takes a shot on goal, and it's there. So, wonderful start for the Cats, and to a man they run to Tom Harley, who was wonderfully courageous, Gary Lyon, in that exchange.
He was. All eyes were on Tom Harley. He looked like he may have been knocked out or concussed on this occasion. Good pressure on the leading Hamill, and he did look a bit wobbly. They played advantage, which almost in that situation they'd stop. Smart play by Peter Riccardi, always try and push the boundaries a bit. But good effort by Tom Harley. He's got the job. Well, he had the job on Aaron Hamill. He's now got to go forward while he recovers.
Nothing like a goal to get you back to your feet there. Tom Harley recovers.
And we've got a blood rule.
Riccardi congratulates, and Hamill comes off for that blood rule, Gary.
Sorry, Brian, in the same passage of play, Aaron Hamill got one, and that looks like a nasty one. Plenty of blood down the left-hand side. And here it is, just prior to that, just prior to Tom Harley. You can see Aaron Hamill there on the ground holding his head. Dr. Peter Larkins will be on the job, no doubt.
Well, that's an important move, Aaron Hamill coming off, because he is one of the guys for the Saints, Gary, that likes to set the pace and the physicality stakes first off in the opening 10 minutes of the game.
Just a knee to the back of the head there, just a glancing blow.
Yep. But
that would be a couple of injections and quite a few stitches, I would have thought. Down to Dr. Peter Larkins.
Yes, Gary, they will have to take him into the rooms because they're not allowed to do the stitching on the boundary, so obviously it's a deep enough cut. They'll have to put some local anaesthetic and stitch him inside. He'll be back.
AFL directive there that says you must go to the rooms rather than have it displayed for all on the boundary line.
Well, it did cause a bit of a reshuffle because Harley, who was a bit wobbly, he had to go forward while he recovered. He's now going back to pick up Justin Kozitsky, who's come on for Aaron Hamill. So a few early moves in this game.
Gary Ablett Sr. watching on the Hickey stand. Keep an eye on him as the day progresses. King and Noble battle it out in the middle. Comes out the back door to beat them. His kick was smothered by Corey. Handball back to Graham. Very good kick, short, a little bit too high for his man there on that occasion in Kingsley. They kick it forward. Clark and Riccardi has marked in front of the man that has got the job on him today, Andrew Thompson, and Riccardi will line up from about 35 metres out. Pretty tough angle for the left footer though.
Andrew Thompson was one of their best two last week, had over 30 possessions, St Kilda. He's picked up Peter Riccardi, so straight away Mark Thompson said we'll take Riccardi to the goal square, keep Thompson out of the play and hopefully get a goal from him.
Michael Roberts, mail, spot on as Riccardi comes in, no mistake. No mistake about that goal from Peter Riccardi. A little bit of right to left about it, and he has got 2 goals inside a couple of minutes.
Well, that is a win for Mark Thompson and the Bomber coaching panel, because they've now taken Riccardi straight to the goal square, and it's twofold. It takes Andrew Thompson away from the centre of the ground, where he was such a terrific player last week, but he also is very comfortable leading from the goal square, and already, only a couple of minutes in, he's been able to score 2 goals.
So the Cats off to a flying start. Got a feel for Trent Noble. Last week up against Matt Primus. This week it's Stephen King. He's getting a real initiation into some of the very best ruckmen in the comp. Scragged to the ground there, Lenny Hayes. A secondary bounce. 2 straight goals to the Cats. Really ignited the fans here at Skilled Stadium. Nice day for footy. Perfect day, in fact. Slightly overcast. Light breeze. I don't think footballers could, even if they requested it, find a better day. Noble this time with some success. Clark getting it forward. The Saints perhaps with their first foray into the forward area. Stevie Lawrence at the bottom of all of that. Centre half forward will have a bounce. Let's go down to Michael Roberts on the bench.
Yeah, that breeze is quite significant once you get out into the middle of the ground, so it's pushing down obviously to the Geelong end.
So umpire will ball it up in that half-forward region there for the Saints, low. The game's record holder for St Kilda. Indiscriminate handball, forcing the turnover. Geelong, quick usage of hands off half-back. Ling combining nicely with the back pocket player and Shoal. Burns leads his man to the ball. Cripps. That'll be a free kick downfield, because Cripps dealt with Ronnie Burns unfairly after he disposed of the ball. And it'll be a free kick. Bartel. Handball's off. Goes to Foster. Long ball, Graham. That's what we like to see. He's been down in confidence. He needs to hold 1 or 2 of those. Ling, good hands. Milburn on return for the Cats. Kicks a long ball. Slightly misdirected. And we've got a boundary throw in right full forward pocket there for the Cats.
Got the feeling that Ben Graham, this game here at Skilled Stadium, has come at exactly the right time. It's just nice to be in familiar territory when you're trying to come back from a bit of a form slump. I think that breeze, Robbo's mentioned it, Ogden's worth probably 3 goals in this first quarter.
Boundary throw in. Already the Saints defence that we mentioned at the head, Gary, having to work hard. You sense that's going to be the case right throughout the season. Here's Ling, highly skilled player, puts it on the left boot. Only a question of accuracy, and in the end, he pushed it away to the left. So the Cats increase their lead, certainly doing all the attacking in the early stages.
There's an impact on how you play this ground, this breeze. They've been known the Cats to keep Ben Graham at one end of the ground for a whole game, to be an attacking force, but also to sit across half-back and repel some of the moves that come with such a strong breeze.
Heath Black, kick in, missed its target. Pickett had to pick it up off the toes. Was good enough to get rid of it. So always under pressure, though, the Saints, as they try to bring it out of their defensive 50. And in doing so, eventually the ball has disappeared over the boundary line. Capuano being followed by Milburn. You see the St Kilda coaching panel there, led by Grant Thomas. Dean Wallace on the right, former Bomber. Kingan doing the ruck work. Noble infringing over the back. That's a soft free kick, I thought. And it is against the Cats, and it'll go to Noble on half-back. Umpire said play on. Thompson now. Ball to centre wing. Scarlett closing. Hard bouncing ball. Couldn't trap it. Allowed Foster to come in. Centering kick. This could open the game up for the Cats. Bartel has been prominent already in this game with 3 possessions, as Rewalt marks.
Good thing he did too, because they were breaking again. Favours the outer side. His kick's not good. Bartel gets it back. 5 possessions already for that player. He's having a big impact. Kick a little strong for Graham. Rewald having to work back. Max Hudson giving him a chop out. The boundary line's going to help the 2 of them. And the ball across the line.
Hey, what is interesting is some of the footwear that these players are wearing. I'm just having a look through the binoculars. Stuart Lowe's gone with what's commonly referred to as grass cats, which are just nothing more than runners, really. So I hope they keep their feet, Brian.
Yep, for a very lush surface. Could be a problem. We saw that at Optus Oval yesterday. Ball ground level. Riccardi battling hard. Ling head over it. Cripps there as well. Always tough. Always under. Always the last man up. 13-point lead to the Cats in the opening 8 minutes of this game. No electronic scoreboards here today. And it's good old country football. We have the Army dangling off the stands here. We've had sprinters running the oval. It's been fantastic entertainment in the lead up to this game. Riccardi, Hayes, overrunning the ball, having a lot of difficulty. No clean hands there. Bartel got a hand to it. Black, important player today for the Saints, gets it out to another youngster from Xavier College in Caden Bootham. He gets it over the top. Hayes now able to run. Got it further afield. Here go the Saints. Beetham's kick to centre half forward. It was under enormous pressure and therefore not directed all that well as Corey flew and marked.
Player highlighted by Gary Lyon at the start of the day has had a terrific start to the season. Short kick from him was good to Clark. They're trying to steer it through centre half forward. Back now to Aaron Lord. His handball into the ground was always going to make it tough for Clark, and in the end, clean possession, hard to come by for the Cats.
Disappointing to see a player of Aaron Lord's experience miss a handball like that and put young Clark under pressure. Inside 50s at the moment, 5 Geelong, St Kilda yet to go inside 50. So it's an indication of that breeze. They need to make the most of this, Geelong. They need to be 3 or 4 up at the quarter-time break.
Almost doubling the possessions too, Gary. It's been an impressive start. Ling now back inside again. Aaron Lord in front. The experienced forward worked his way to the front of that contest, and it was always academic from there.
Aaron Lord, of course, starved of opportunities through the midfield at Hawthorn. Frustrated midfielder, I think, and was used almost exclusively as a small forward. And we know he can kick goals, but getting an opportunity through the middle of the ground with the Cats.
Great shot there of what's ahead of Aaron Lord. Kick on the way, and he steers it through very nicely. Third goal for the Cats.
And it is a very good start, one that they would have hoped for. Only 10 minutes into this first quarter, the Saints yet to score, and with this breeze they are going to have to run the lines, and to explain that a little bit better, they're just going to have to carry the football, make sure they've got plenty of support, because it is a long ground, this ground. You can see between the 50-metre arc and the centre square, it is the longest, probably the longest ground in the competition. When you push up into the breeze, you've got to run and carry a bit more.
The Saints, coming off a loss to Port Adelaide, a whopping loss, 83 points last week, have started poorly. On the other hand, the Cats, full of confidence coming from that win, 8 points over the Kangaroos at Colonial Stadium, and they've got a 3-goal jump here as we speak. Black, the first centre clearance for St Kilda, and the first entry inside 50 almost, falls to ground level. Kazitsky, beautiful kick, Capuano marks. Nice foot skills there from the big fella Kazitsky.
Yes, and you mentioned that Milburn has got the job on Capuano. They are a little bit stretched at the moment, the Geelong defenders, for height. But I think with this breeze, you'd be prepared to roll the dice at the moment.
Doc Larkin's just about ready for the return of Hamill. Yes, he agrees.
I'll get him back on.
Capuano.
Doc talking to us, I think he was. Aaron Hamill set to come back on.
Very good indeed. Capuano lines up, protection of the Hickey stand. Here, he's 30 metres out directly in front, shouldn't be a problem. The AFL average is very, very high from there, as you see, 86%, and he hasn't let that average fall at all. Capuano nails the first for the Saints.
Well, it's an important goal in the context of this game, the context of the early minutes of this game, is to get one back into the breeze. And with Aaron Hamill set to come back on, maybe when they go with the breeze, the Saints, they may go with Capuano and Hamill and Kazitsky and Lowe, 4 talls. But coming up into the breeze, it might be a bit much of an ask. But it's a good goal for Matty Capuano.
So the Saints get one back through the former North Melbourne Premiership player Matthew Capuano. One straight. As you can see, Geelong getting a very nice start at the Skill Stadium. They're going to get another clearance here. Nice hands from Kilpatrick. Ball at half forward. Lord outnumbered back there. Cripps, the captain today, searching for the line with his handball. Overrunning it there for the Saints was Beetham. And the boundary line. You see a throw in left half forward with the Cats again in attack. Jason Cripps on screen. The revolving door that is the St Kilda captaincy. He's the man today. Going to ground, Stephen King falls on top of him. Slight appeal, Gary, for the holding the ball decision. I don't think it was ever going to be there.
Asking him a question from a cricket point of view, just a polite inquiry, and turned down.
Aaron Hamill there. He's ready to go. It's surprising they haven't brought him straight back into the action. Loose ball get so far in this game. Geelong 10, Saints 2. There's a hard ball get. Cripps. Black spun out of trouble brilliantly. A sizzling left foot kick through the midfield. Mill normally plays deep forward, being pursued by Rook, another youngster. Well done, Mill. Kept his feet. Takes a bounce. He'll drill it inside 50, looking for Capuano. Milburn got back. Dropped a mark in the end he probably should have taken. Look at the numbers around the ball for the Cats. 3 there to tidy up. Riccardi with time. Good linking play. As eventually Harley got on the end of it to Clark.
Clark's got King if he wants him. Decides to hang on to it and go by hand. Set a bit of a task there for Ling, but he was good enough. Harley gets it to half forward. Basically kicks it into a nest of Saints. Black, who's had a bit of the footy, works hard back. 4 possessions for him. Rewald got it to Voss and then got it back from Voss. High kick from Rewald, and that makes it tough for Mill, but he did very well.
He's a great starter, this bloke, Stephen Milne. Always gets a lot of the footy early in the game.
Aussie Jones with the long drop punt inside the 50. Capuano, his handball smothered. Ball across the line. The Saints have just lifted in the last minute or so.
Well, they've got tall forwards. They've got to make sure that they've got small crummers at their feet. Brian called it beautifully. They went inside. They got a contest from Capuano, but Geelong pushed back harder than their opponents. They need to make sure that the small St Kilda forwards are at the feet of those big fellows.
Capuano being given a lot of space on the lead. Corey tries to extract the ball. Hayes might have got one in the back, and I think the umpire agreed. And it'll be a free kick going Lenny Hayes' way. He plays on foolishly before he had retreated from the man on the mark, Bartel, and he was quick enough with his hands to smother the ball. Basic error.
Hard ball gets. The Saints have been at it, which is always a good sign early in the game.
Hickey stand end, or Bowen River end, if you like, here at Geelong. The boundary throw in. Bartel has been on fire in this quarter so far. Trying to burst his way through some heavy traffic there, the youngster. He's been very, very good in the opening 15 minutes of this game with 5 touches to date.
Ball use becomes so important on a day like this, Brian, when there's a loose player back, just to try and compensate for the breeze. It's the way you use the footy. You can't just blast away. You've got to try and be as efficient as you can with the footy. Cameron Mooney comes to the bench. Young Chambers for his first run.
King and Lowe to do the ruck work. Clark for St Kilda nearly had a run at it. Now he's going to get a chance. Exciting player, smothered beautifully off the boot. That was Foster for the Cats. Wonderful defensive effort there to thwart the shot on goal.
It was great, wasn't it?
Man on screen, Clark, so much expected of him at Moorabbin. Rarely see a player come into the competition with a build-up like the one he has, but he's already shown that he's got plenty of talent in his only outing. Claimed high. Lenny Hayes, no free kick. The Cats will bring it away. Ronnie Burns with some nice footwork. Beautifully done.
Brilliant.
Milburn, this is on the outer side. All sorts of time for him. Just waltzes to half forward with a kick. Graham caught behind. Max Hutchton did beautifully. And he releases Capuano on the outer side.
Capuano with time as well as he waltzes off half back, but just no vision, didn't look.
That's the ball use I'm talking about. You cannot blaze away like that.
As the Cats respond in similar fashion, and Gary Lyon just shakes his head in disbelief at the disposal error shown in those last 2 foot possessions. Rewalt. Nice look at the angle there as he goes to Jones. A good accumulator of possessions early as well. He was forced to play on Scarlett. Corey. Rewalt got in the back of Corey. No free kick. Got the ball out. Clark. Here go the Cats. Ronnie Burns leads strongly. Cripps was there. Working hard. Cripps beat them. Good hands. Cripps. Jones. All important players, and so is this man. Beautiful pirouette spin off the pack with his 5th touch. Kick forward. Has been marked by Harley in defence.
Tom Harley goes back with the hands to Milburn. Working it nicely around the outer side, the Cats. This is where they need a marking player. Kingsley worked under the footy. Schwartz with him, also the boundary line, and there will be a boundary throw in right half forward. Geelong in attack.
And the last 5 minutes, you wouldn't be surprised to know that these two teams are ranked last and second last in shots on goal from the amount of times they go inside 50. They just turn the footy over too often.
Rewald helping out Capuano at that boundary throw-in. Now Graham hands and knees, and we'll do it again.
And what they've done is Paul Chambers has come onto the ground, and that's allowed Stephen King to go to the goal square. So they've got tall, strong marking forwards with a breeze. Don't overpossess going forward. Get it in there, get it in quickly, give King a chance to compete with Hudson one out.
See Black there just pointing for the man, Rewalt, to move into the slot. Well, the ball up takes place on the defensive 50 for the Cats. Clearing kick out wide. It's high ball. Lowe gets under it. In amongst it. Chambers. Scarlett. Handball. Kilpatrick. Good accumulator of possessions through the midfield. Points to where he wants to kick it. Kick forward. The foot skills have left a lot to be desired so far in this game. Beetham marks with his 6th touch. 50-metre penalty.
Against Aaron Lord.
Yep. Let's go down to boundary side and Michael Roberts.
Yes, Nick Dal Santo just about to come on for his first run. There it is there. Kaczynski off, and Darren Milburn's picked up Aaron Hamill. Hamill snuck on.
See the 50 there clearly. The player not wanting to come back after being asked by the umpire. Beetham now through the middle of the ground. Kicks long. Peckett caught behind 3 deep. Clark, the silky smooth skills. Long ball missed. But he is very clean when he gets hands on it, Gary Lyon.
Well, that's the crumb. That's where they need to be. Clark and Milne need to be at the feet of their big, tall forwards, and that was a much better setup. They're much more dangerous when they can do that. At least give themselves a chance at a 50-50 contest.
Peter Riccardi, 2 goals in almost the first couple of minutes, now finds himself kicking the ball back in for the Cats. They've zoned off nicely. St Kilda, he's called to go, and he's going to have to go straight down the ground. Mind you, the numbers favour him. Good thump from behind by Capuano. But on the ground, Bartel, who has had a lot of the footy, has done very nicely. Geelong will get it to half forward again on the lead and taking a nice mark. Kingsley, in fact, he spilt it in the end. Has to go back by hand. Ling will get on the end of this. He needs to get rid of it. Dal Santo, the tackler. 6 possessions already for Ling. High ball, Lord. King. They could raffle it in the end. Law of the jungle, Gary, it went to the bigger man.
Well, finally, they still mucked around a bit through the middle of the ground, but once Cameron Ling was able to get it in there long, Aaron Lord doesn't need to go for that footy, by the way. Aaron Lord needs to sit at the front, and if there's a spillage, that's where he needs to be. But get it in quick, get it in long to Stephen King, and you're better than 50-50 chance of taking a mark.
Stephen King just asking the umpire exactly where the mark is. AFL average of 57% from that distance with that angle. Very nice finish there from Stephen King. Goal to the Cats.
Another not underrated, well, he may be underrated, Peter Street, big tall ruckman that Geelong drafted a couple of years ago, came on pretty well last year, has been out of the side through injury, and that's hamstrung them from throwing Stephen King forward. They like to do it. I saw him last year dominate a game, kick 4 goals in a quarter, just over a quarter. With Street playing, they had the flexibility to do that, and that's why they've introduced Paul Chambers today, and now Stephen King can be a forward force.
So the Cats extend their lead to 18 points at the 22-minute mark of this first quarter here at St.Kilda Stadium. Umpire Jason Quigley prepares himself to place the ball on the turf and allow the players to do what they do best. Capuano's been moved into the ruck, ball in dispute. Overrunning it on that occasion was Dal Santo, the first gamer, getting his first touch. Hardly call it a possession, though. Dal Santo there wearing the number 26 Guernsey. And there's a shot of the Geelong bench warming up as we go down to Dr. Peter Larkins.
Yeah, Justin Kozitzki came off interchange a couple of minutes ago, BT, and really looked uncomfortable running, so you'd have to think that back is definitely worrying him today. He's having some work on the boundary at the moment.
Yep, good picture there of the work on the back going into Justin Kozitzki's problem area, and it has been reported that for a good part of the week he's had a lot of attention on that particular part of his body.
Worrying sign for a young man in his second season of football, Brian, and the trip down here in the car wouldn't have helped him. Stephen Lawrence yet to touch the footy for the day. He averages 18 possessions a game. Needs to get busy.
Well, getting up there, the youngster Chambers, pushing his man out of the way with the boot. Beetham went in hard. Bartels comes out to Black on the left boot. Milne was on the lead, but just reading it brilliantly over the top was Jared Rook.
Talented young player. Played very well last week in a losing side, and that's always a good sign.
And Bartels, just in that contest there, you can just tell from something as simple as a little body out on a player that we're watching a player who's going to make a big impact. He's had 8 touches for the quarter, but more so than that, his use of the body was terrific.
Young player on the ground, Chambers. Mentioned right at the start that he's come off the rookie list from the Western Jets, and he'll be nice and nervous. There's no nerves in this man, Michael Roberts.
Yeah, there's been a move down here. Matthew Capuano's gone down on Stephen King in the goal square.
Yes, and that's probably fair enough too. He did pretty well, Capuano, last week. Had to go forward against Port Adelaide when Brendan Lade gave them some pain. He kicked 4 in the first half. Lade, Capuano kept him goalless after half-time.
Interesting move that Michael Roberts suggesting there, as we see the umpire making a decision that will see the Cats kick the ball forward from half-back.
Yes, it's not play out of our league.
Dal Santo's stint on the ground didn't last long. He's already off. Noble back on for the Saints. Short kick looking for Clark. Won't find that player. Harley's over there as well. Beetham did nicely for the Saints. Chambers, the man on hands and knees there. The first gamer just dumping the experienced Stewie Lowe to the turf. And now a player just gets body on body with him to let him know that he's out there with the men playing AFL footy. After a very fast start, the Cats have just come back to the pack a little. There's Beetham. He's had a good start. 8 possessions for him in the first term. The young man, Ling, hands and knees. Thompson with him. Lenny Hayes.
Well, it's only 18 points, only 3 goals. I think it's a 3-goal breeze at the moment, so it's still pretty tight.
Outer side, skilled stadium.
And there's the applause. Pretty obvious why. Ablett has entered the arena.
He might get in the end of this too, Gary. Ronnie Burns kicks inside the 50. They're going longer for good reason. Aaron Lord takes the mark, walks in, kicks a goal. His second, number 5 for the Cats.
Aaron Lord's having a pretty good afternoon. Playing through the middle of the ground. He's been able to hit the scoreboard on 2 occasions. Back in familiar territory, of course. Started his career here at Geelong before going to Hawthorn. And a terrific clearance there. And the advantage of going long. Quickly, direct, gives your teammates a chance to complete one out.
Aaron Lord with his second goal there. And the Saints just falling down when they go inside their attacking 50. Trying to get someone on the end of it has been a problem for them. At the other end, it's been a different story. 5 first-quarter goal to the Cats so far. In the middle, Noble. Battling for possession. Corey in and under. Eventually, Ling got the loose ball out. Clark smothered. They work hard, the young Cats, and that's why they're still in the team. Hayes, Lawrence, all combining. Forward, Hudgston's been moved down there to try and get something happening. Lawrence absorbed the bump. Underground ball, Hudgston lines up the goals. Missed it badly to the left-hand side. And just the minor result there for the defender, Maxie Hudgston.
The only downside of sending Max forward is that he's got a huge heart. He competes and wins the footy. But you've got to take opportunities as a forward, and not always the best kick.
Brad Scholl with the footy now at half-back. Threads a pass into a nest of teammates. Corey eventually has to try and mop that up. Comes out to the back. Beetham stepping around. Now he goes to Stuart Lowe. Handball back to Beetham. And his kick comes straight back from whence it came. Clark takes the very comfortable chest mark at half-back. 7 possessions for this impressive young Cat. He looks for Gary Ablett Jr. Kingsley there as well. Putting his body in very hard was Kilpatrick. Lenny Hayes and Austin Jones combined. Now Black with a long handball inboard to Cripps. They're gradually working their way back into their own 50 here. Hayes goes sideways with the kick. It needs to work here. Kozitzki in best position, but Graham strips him with the ball. Long kick inside the 50, looking for and not finding Riccardi. Peckett going back with the ball as well. Did a very good job to get a hand on that. And that's a good result for the Saints.
Peckett's gone on to Riccardi because Riccardi is spending so much time out of the centre, I suspect, to get Thompson back onto the ball. And that has saved a certain goal.
Peckett, the designated kick-in duties today, elects the members' side of the ground. On this occasion, Noble played on Allen in round 1 and was exceptional. Since then, it hasn't been great going for the big fella, as we see another ball up resulting there. And Rewalt just getting dealt a bit of a blow and will receive a soft free kick out of that contest. Umpire hovering
A
over.
love tap there, Brian, in the middle of the pack.
Well, we saw one of those last night to start a game. Rewalt, centre wing low, has been well held, couldn't hold the chest mark. He had Scarlett beaten, could not chest the ball. Hamill got split open early, back in action after getting the staples to the side of the head. Kick goes forward, grip shocking. Harley on half-back. Now, can they open something up here, the Cats? The kick was intended for Kilpatrick. It missed him and allowed Kingsley to come through for his 6th touch of the game. Kilpatrick has been also good through the midfield. Graham, haven't seen a lot of him so far. Didn't really attack that with the necessary force, but he butted up. Got Bramlett. He'll make something happen. Ling can go over the top. He does. He almost ran too far.
Is extraordinary, Brian. That is absolutely extraordinary. Have you seen anything like this?
Well, the handball came over the top. He waltzed, waited. By the time the sound arrived to him, he probably thought he'd kicked it, but we're sitting right next to the siren here, and I can assure you that it sounded prior to him making contact with the ball. So, what
A shot of the St Kilda bench there. James Brayshaw to pick up action at the start of the second quarter.
So a 4-goal break for Geelong. Michael Roberts said they kick into the breeze in this, the second term. Ling goes to ground, sets Corey a task. He looks for Riccardi in a whole lot of traffic. They're burrowing the ball forward here, the Saints, ending up getting it to half forward. Milne steps around, too far out to score, so he doubles back. That probably won't be 15. Clark's got it, high drop punt from him. Stewie Lowe had a very quiet first term, beset upon back there. And Bartel for the Cats will assess his options and then deliver the ball around the outer side. Working hard there is Brad Scholl for the Cats. His drop punt ill-directed. And the Saints break it up across half-back.
Yes, a 24-point lead to the Cats as we kick off this second quarter. Kick was pretty ordinary, but Rewalt will get on the end of it. No, he won't. It's coughed it up, allowed Graham an easy possession, something you don't want an out-of-form player to get. Long ball forward is beautifully placed to Lord. Hand on the shoulder, Burns, the wizard. Left foot kick around the corner, hit that post. In front of the Hickey stand, right in front of where Gary Ablett Senior sits. He would have loved that.
Well, there's a couple of big bits of play here. Not only the miss here from Ronnie Burns, but young Rewalt went to ground when he shouldn't have. And Heath Black, who's been St Kilda's best player, hobbled to the bench. We'll get an update from Dr. Peter Larkins at the earliest convenience.
Short kick finds Hayes. And he goes in search of Thompson, but he was out-heighted by Stephen King. He took a very comfortable mark. Over the top goes Kilpatrick. Corey with the ball. Inboard with him to Riccardi. 2 goals in the first term for Peter Riccardi. This will be number 3 effort straight. It is.
Peter Riccardi providing problems down inside Geelong's forward 50. That's his 3rd goal for the afternoon. And he presents to the footy well. Well, he's spent a lot of time as a wingman and also in the middle of the ground, but it's a natural gift that he's got. He's been able to go forward and play out of the goal square and play it very competently. So 3 goals is a very, very solid return early into the second quarter.
1-point lead to the Cats in the opening stages of this second quarter as they kick into a bit of a breeze is an excellent start. One that they would have hoped for. Riccardi's got 3 now. Back in the middle, Noble won the tap, got it to Lawrence. Hayes beat them, bit of a mix-up. Now Hayes recovers, short ball on the lead. Capuano, good hands. Solid pressure from behind. And Milburn there. We'll
Just
see
on that,
Capuano
Brian,
kick.
Sorry, Brian. They had Capuano, Rewalt and Lowe, 3 talls. And when the ball broke from the centre, they all led. Every one of them led up to the ball carrier. Now, with this wind, at least one of those tall players has to be in the goal square for the get-out option. Now, that was a fair mark, but it was a mark under pressure. You'd rather attack the square if you're in any doubt.
There's the reverse angle. The AFL average from this position, 50%. And Matthew Capuano has the only goal for St Kilda so far in the game. A beautiful look at what confronts him. It's all about distance now. We can see the accuracy was there. He likes it. It's a goal. Capuano has got 2.
Lovely finish from a big man who stands at about 200 centimetres, 200 plus. But they've just got to get the structure of this forward line set up properly. And that sounds hypercritical because they've already scored a goal, but they need the option of being able to go long to the goal square when they're under some pressure. Now, Justin Kosicki's come onto the ground and he is going to the goal square. I would suggest he needs to stand there and play from the square and just provide a strong option, strong marking option.
32 career goals coming into today for Matthew Capuano. So he's no stranger to the big stick. 6 plays 2. As he gets some respectability into that scoreboard for Saints fans. Now he's on the ball and picking the ball up. Handball just missed its target. Scholl working hard backward of that pack. Bartel in the end of it. High drop punt for him. 10 possessions already. He's had a lot of the ball, the youngster. Clark couldn't handle it. It was hot. Corey, lovely handball to Bartel. He sets Graham the task. King it was. And King eventually had his handball broken up. Corey steps around. King tumbles it to the 50. Going back, Stuart Lowe, courage as always, and takes a very good mark.
Lowe just dropping in across half-back. Didn't get a sniff early in the forward 50. And now working. He could have gone over the top there, as Gary Lyon pointed out to Hayes. Clark flew high. Applying the tackle there was Swartz. And we'll have a ball up on members' wing as we go down to Dr. Peter Larkins at ground level.
Here, BT, we mentioned how important Heath Black was to the Saints today. Looks like he's going to be in trouble. He's got a nasty corky. They put a compression bandage on it, but he can hardly walk the boundary. So Heath Black probably restricted for the rest of the day.
Right thigh. Yep, heavily bandaged.
The doc after a quiet night Friday night.
Yes, he went scoreless, runless Friday night, and well, we were hoping that similar would happen today because we don't wish an injury on anyone, of course. And we'll have another ball up, but he's started on fire today, Doc Larkins, at his home ground here, the newly named Skilled.
Corky, of course, for the uninitiated, it would have been a solid blow to the thigh that starts to bleed internally and tighten up, and whilst it doesn't do long-term damage, it just really restricts your ability to run. And that would be disappointing because he'd had a terrific start to the game, Heath Black.
King and Lowe. Lowe tried the backhanded fist. Peckett got on the end of it. Riccardi. And this has been the go in this game to date. It's been full of this sort of scrimmage-type play where there hasn't been a lot of free-flowing movement as Thompson comes off. And coming on will be Begley.
Been taken off for those boots, I think. Silver flashes.
Stoppages aplenty at Skilled Stadium. Lowe and King. King on top on this occasion. Beetham swings around. King stands tall and picks it up, but he may have turned it over here. He has. Clark for the Saints with the mark on the wing. His 4th possession is high. Looking for Rewald. Can't find that player. As we've seen so often throughout his career, Brad Scholl mopping up across half-back. Now it's with Tom Harley. Long looping handball to Bartel. Bartel thought about going back to Harley, then went further afield to Ling. His long kick now. Look at the Saints defenders back there. Lenny Hayes, one of them. Then Linkett coming out of half-back. Aussie Jones. That handball a little fierce for him. Milne a long way from the goal square, picks it up, kicks along the line. but only as far as Rook for the Cats.
Rook, one of the youngsters. Might have a close look at those at half-time as Harley kicks forward. Riccardi on the lead, punch away. And we'll have a boundary throw in. Half forward for the Cats, kicking to the Hickey stand in this second quarter, and then you can see the overall possessions there. Geelong leading that category quite clearly. And perhaps they have over-possessed the ball a little bit in terms of goals kicked. King just pushed low out of the way. Advanced the ball forward. Great opportunity here. Falls at the back. Kingsley running to an open goal. Kingsley's got his first.
Too easy in the end, isn't it, when you're fighting so hard to get back into a game, pushing up into the breeze. Just too easy from the centre clearance there by big Stephen King, and then, well, he used his body pretty well. He's a pretty strong lad, Kingsley, so it's a good result for the Cats. Been a great duel out in front of us too, just as a little duel within a duel. Xavier Clark against James Bartel. That might not be the first time they're matched to each other.
So the Cats with the ascendancy at Skilled Stadium. 7 goals plays 2.
They were smashed 17-7 in clearances around the ground by Port Adelaide last week, St Kilda, and that was another one that cost them dearly.
King having a big impact. Hamill back on the ground. Had his head split open in the early stages, required stitches, and now he's right back into the thick of it.
Trying to do likewise there, I think, James.
The former Blue, yep. Courage and intensity, never a question over Aaron Hamill. He only knows one way to play footy. Again, it's King against Lowe. Picked up by Voss. High kick will only find the boundary line. And the newly formed or named Skilled Stadium, Gary, perhaps we're not seeing as much of it as we thought we would on such a beautiful day.
Not that highly skilled a game, but the St Kilda just letting the game wander along at the moment, I think, as Cameron Lynn comes to the bench. They need to make the statement here. They've got to find something.
Wazinski on for Ling as Corey gets the ball to the boundary line.
They're a bit predictable for mine in the way they go forward. They've got Kazitsky and Rewalt and Capuano now as their 3 tall forwards. I think they've just got to mix it up a little bit. Maybe even play a form of the old Pagans paddock where they can get a bit more space and let Milne and Xavier Clark and those guys with a bit of speed to run into that room.
Thompson preparing to come back on for the Saints as the ball's in dispute on the outer wing. Ronnie Burns got a piece of it, handball. Lord, some nice footwork there, got him out of trouble. Advanced it forward, Graham in front, Hudson, third man up, you saw what he did. Overrunning the ball there for the Cats, allowed Graham to pick it up. Little kick, I think it might have been from Ablett, out into space. Riccardi picks it up, looking for goal number 4. Left foot snap is missed, but it's been marked by Kingsley, the man that kicked that goal just moments ago. And an opportunity to kick his second, Kent Kingsley.
Interesting one there. It was Aaron Lord running towards goals, Peter Riccardi running away from goal. Who gets right away? It's always been a difficult one to answer, but they end up going with Riccardi, who got the ball to boot, and Kent Kingsley once again, body strength against young Schwartz.
Contested possessions this quarter, Geelong 17, St Kilda 8 as Kingsley comes in and nails goal number 2.
Well, really worrying signs for St Kilda at the moment. They've got the aid of this breeze. They've managed 1 goal, and on the other hand, Geelong, kicking up into the teeth of the breeze, have kicked 3 goals, 1. So some big concerns for Grant Thomas. They've got to start winning some footy through the middle of the ground. Some of their big possession winners need to find a bit more of the ball, and their forwards need to get more dangerous.
2 goals in this term for Kent Kingsley. 8 plays 2. Stuart Lowe off the ground. Hasn't had the sort of day we expect from the St Kilda champ. Back in the centre. Kilpatrick working very hard. Stephen Lawrence bustling in there as well. And we'll have the second stoppage as Brett Voss just picks himself up. There is Stuart Lowe.
He's walking the boundary line, having a bit of a spell. He'll be back into this game shortly, one would think, because There is no doubt the Saints need someone that can kick goals. In the middle of the ground, 51 plays 14. Capuano and King. Voss couldn't get a clear kick. Clark with beautiful hands, got it further afield. Beetham, 55 metres out, big ball, missed. The youngster just off to the left-hand side. Needless to say, an important opportunity gone astray. 2-3-15 the Saints, 8-3-51 the Cats.
Milburn to bring the footy back in. A short kick to himself, and he'll unload it outside the 50. Fly out there for Geelong from Wazinski. Couldn't reel the footy in. Now they've got the runners through Harley. His kick looking for, but not finding Kingsley. Now he's got a chance to pick it up. Handball missed Lord. Cripps. Schwartz going nowhere. We'll have a bounce.
Well, the only thing that needs to happen for Geelong now is for Ben Graham to start to find the football, take a couple of strong contested marks, because everything else is going okay. Still, the Saints have got 3 players finding a lot of the footy through the middle, but I suggest it through the middle and towards the back half of the ground rather than penetrating inside 50.
Clark thumps it forward now for the Cats. Max Hudson and Graham. Beautiful picker. Got it to Gary Ablett Jr. Steps around a couple. Now he's claimed. Clark's got it. Standing start, drop punt. Riccardi all on his own. Just the one hand. Picker coughs it up. Picking it up and kicking it to the moon. Bartel. Ball down. Ablett gone.
Well, right in front of his old man too. He'd be happy with that, Gary Ablett Jr. But we've got to ask the question early in the piece. This player had gone one-handed, but Peter Riccardi was able to double up the game, win the footy and get it across to Gary Ablett. So they just continue to push the ball forward, continue to get it out of the middle, and someone needs to stay missing Robert Harvey and Nathan Burke. Hard nuts in the middle of the ground.
Gary Ablett Jr.'s second goal in league football, taking place not more than 20 metres in front of his famous father. There's the St. Kilda coaching box, just wondering what they can do to quell this flow of goals against the breeze here as Kilpatrick takes a rest. Chambers, the included player for Sanderson today, on. Riccardi out of the middle. Graham on the lead. Couldn't get it. Riccardi follows up. Handball wide. Good play. Clark on his non-preferred side. Great kick. Left foot boundary side goal.
Well, it's turned into a procession out of the middle again. Riccardi this time wins the footy out of the middle. We've got forwards that presented to it. Ben Graham was the player again. Wasn't able to hang on to it, but gee, they're in that good a form at the moment. They can't miss. And that was left foot running with the boundary. Share and celebrate. 5-3 out of the middle. It's the quality of the clearances, the way they're coming out, that puts so much pressure on the St. Kilda backs.
David Clark, the goal kicker, 4 straight now for the Cats. 5 in this term, only 16 minutes in. They are lighting up Skilled Stadium. 10 plays 2.
Aptly named, James, today for the Cats.
Has been a very strong performance. Chambers climbs high, the first gamer. Ablett wraps Hayes up in a tackle. Ground level, Stevie Lawrence tries to get something going for the Cats. Throw perhaps, or a push. Push on Corey. And that player will take the free kick, defensive side of the centre square. That's what's ahead of him as the Saints players flood back. Long ball. Milburn the target out there. He wasn't able to reel the mark in. Thompson on the ground. Clark there as well will have a bounce.
Well, they started to push a few numbers back, the Saints, just to try and halt proceedings here, but the Geelong players went with them most of the time, so it was a one-on-one in their forward line. That's good discipline.
See Stephen King just trying to open up that forward line for Ben Graham. 7 disposals this quarter for the big fella. Possessions this second quarter, Geelong have doubled St. Kilda's, 55-26. Handball. Capuano has kicked 2 goals for the Saints and been pretty good. Mill coming through hard. Hamill, you see him do that so often. Spin out of the pack. Kaczynski, fresh on the ground, delivery forward, a little astray, but it's hit the deck. And this is where the Cats have been good. Kingsley sidestep, needed to get the ball off quicker. He was just trying to do a little bit too much there, and the umpire penalises him for doing so. Ball goes forward, being held. Surely a free kick will go the way of Jared Rook.
That's a structural thing, Brian. You shouldn't have to go long out of your defence to a long ball kick to young Stephen Milne or little Stephen Milne. That's where your big blokes are going to be.
Well, that's one of them right there. Mooney for the Cats. His kick to half forward, always going to be difficult for Gary Ablett to mark. And Matty Capuano did the job comfortably back there for the Saints. Inside 50s, 18-10. Tells a fair story. 6-4 this quarter.
And the marks inside 50. Geelong have taken 5 to St Kilda's 2. The Cats are the worst team in the competition in terms of taking marks inside 50. So pretty poor reflection on St Kilda at the minute.
Out wide, again into a nest of Cats out there. They really do have the numbers. And now Peter Riccardi with some space to move in. He's only got to get around Capuano. Made an honest charge at the footy. Wazinski now picks it up. Kick in short, really to no one. Graham did it beautifully, hands it off to Ablett. Waltzes in and kicks his second.
Well, Gary Ablett, 2 goals for the quarter, but really, pretty proud father there, but really, it doesn't matter so much who it is. I mean, he's playing, getting to the right spots, but it's the volume that's coming in there and the lack of pressure. I mean, Ben Graham got that football initially, didn't even know he had it. And he's in not good form, it bumbled out, but he still had time to get it back and give a handball off. That's a disappointing effort so far.
Gary Ablett Jr. with his second goal there. Mark Thompson very happy with what he's seeing from his youngsters here today, because they are the ones that are putting this game together in the midfield and supplying the ball.
Corey Bartel and Clark, huge possession winners. 3 young fellows.
Back in the middle. There's another one. Chambers in the side today after the withdrawal of Sanderson. Saints go forward for one of the few times in this second quarter, and we've played 20 minutes of it. Lawrence using some tough body work there to try and just soften the Cats up a little.
I think the emphasis for St Kilda is they've got to run and carry and get that ball down to the goal square. They're not able to penetrate at the moment. Ozzie Jones hasn't had a touch for the quarter. He's a ball carrier. They need to get it in long and get into a dangerous position, at least make Geelong a bit nervous. They're playing with that much confidence at the moment.
And his opponent there, Ablett, 2 goals. Punch, Kaczynski was good, gained 30 metres for his side. Hamill pushed his man out of the way, went right, came back on the left. Beautiful execution of how to win and then finish the ball.
Well, at least on that occasion, Brian, that it was punched long and you win your possession within scoring range. So if you are able to win a one-on-one contest, which they haven't been able to do often, but if you are, as Aaron Hamill did then, he was actually 1 against 2, so it was a terrific effort. You're a chance to convert. They've got to push up a gear, run and carry and pump it in long and at least get it into that dangerous scoring zone.
Aaron Hamill, the goal scorer there for the Saints, had to leave the ground earlier on with a split to the head, as we see Stuart Lowe making his way back out onto the ground. So the Saints ringing the changes. They really need to, because Geelong right on top. Capuano clean possession. Aaron Lord fresh air shot. Gary Ablett with a couple of goals in this term on top of the footy. Have a bounce.
The Cats just thrown Darren Milburn loose, or he is loose in their back half of the ground. Now from a St Kilda point of view, with the breeze, you don't want extra Geelong numbers in the forward line.
Change I was referring to earlier, Stuart Lowe on. Schwartz now off the ground, and he needs something from Stewie. Hasn't had the day that he would have expected. Mind you, he's had a few teammates. 3 goals, plays 11. He's not a perfect scenario for fans of the Saints. Scarlett, the player on Stuart Lowe, very impressive young backman.
The loose ball, the one that just bubbles around, 41 to Geelong, 15 to St Kilda. They aren't running onto the footy at the moment.
So the game a little stagnant. player Chambers in ruck against Capuano. The Saints now get it moving through Dal Santo. Thompson inside the 50. Hamill on the end of this. Aaron Hamill just kicked a goal. A chance to kick another one. Much better forward movement there from St Kilda. And he presents a fair target.
He does, and it was with purpose too. And as you say, as you called, just they kicked with a bit of depth and got it in there quickly. 9 contested marks to Geelong, 2 to St Kilda. So they are struggling to get any contested football at all. The contested possessions are 72 to Geelong and 44 to St Kilda.
That's Aaron Hamill's percentage probability from this spot. He has got wonderful skills, and that's an excellent goal, his second.
Well, it's against the flow, isn't it, boys? Because they've been absolutely dominated in the last 15 minutes, St Kilda. Aaron Hamill's gone to full forward. They've shuffled around their forwards to try and find the most effective mix. Rewalt and Kazitsky have both been, well, Kazitsky's still at centre-half forward, but right up on the square, which leaves Lowe and Hamill now deep. So they've got to keep throwing them around until they can find the most effective mix. Stephen Milne shouldn't be far away from Aaron Hamill.
Consecutive goals there from Aaron Hamill sees the Saints trail by 42 points with just under 5 minutes remaining in this second quarter. Umpire ready to start proceedings again. Capuano really trying hard for the Saints. Thompson needs to get a bit more of it. Lawrence, Peckett, all combining. This is better. A bit of run from their half-back line and delivery forward was better as Cripps was able to mark uncontested. What does he do now? Centering kick Jones. First possession of the quarter for Jones. Kick forward, Hamill in amongst it. Capuano to Milne, the best stepper in the business. 1, 2, ready, full distance, goal! He is the best at that in the league. Stephen Milne.
And again, I hope that I'm sure he will, Grant Thomas, if he had a video, could show them this bit of play. Won the footy, found some targets, and then kicked it to the dangerous spot on the ground. Deep inside with the breeze. Bit of contest. Hamill, Capuano contest, Milne crumbs. It's not, don't complicate this game of footy. Get it in there. Look at this. This is magnificent work. Give him a chance, the young bloke, to get a crumb like that.
3 in a row for the Saints. Stephen Milne, one of the most exciting small forwards in the game.
Now, Stephen King's gone back to fill in the hole between Hamill and Lowe. He's a spare player back there. Straight away, St Kilda should send a player down with him. Make him accountable.
Chambers, clean possession. Corey, kick smothered. Things starting to work. Blake taken high, surely. And will take a free kick. So some momentum here, St Kilda, after being swamped in the early stages of this second term. Kick out wide. Beetham out there. Now they're inside again to Hamill. Wonderful footy. Begley, the kicker.
You saw, is he, Aaron Hamill? I think he's a bit proppy. Might have landed awkwardly on him, Tom Harley. But, oh, gee, isn't it amazing when you can get the footy in quickly, give them one-on-one. Hamill's turned it round for them this quarter, hasn't he? Presented.
He might have had the opponent, Tom Harley, fall on the ankle, Gaz, and that was the thing that caused him to just be a little proppy.
He's as tough as nails, but he's certainly sore, isn't he?
63% for Aaron Hamill from this spot. He's always higher than the AFL average. 2 goals in this term for the former Blue. Great angle of it here, and that's not to his liking.
Right ankle, you're quite right.
Out of bounds on the full.
Wasn't a good piece of play, was it, in the end? But the right ankle may have been troubling him. We'll check with Doc Larkin shortly. As Capuano the intended target on this occasion. Big pack forms, ball in dispute. Cats win it. Riccardi had trouble controlling. Eventually kept the ball in front. They have a lesson there for youngsters. When you can't control it, at least push it forward. Kwasinski disposed of the ball before the pressure arrived. Kilpatrick right tight on the boundary line. Good Shepherd, Mooney. Physical presence used well there. Hamill over the top, Kwasinski. Followed up his own ball from the middle of the ground. And ends in the resultant goal. Brilliant play by the youngster.
Wezinski. Hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Gee, it was a good run. He's got good turn of speed and the confidence to follow on. Bit of strength there from Kilpatrick on young Dal Santo. He needs to get in the weight room. But it was a nice turn of speed and a lovely finish. And enjoyed it. Monica goes by the nickname Monica.
Beautiful running goal from David Wazinski. Spoke earlier, Gary, about the fact that we thought this place might have been incorrectly named. Well, they've turned that right around. We've seen two beautiful pieces of skill at each end of the ground.
Yeah, been pretty impressive today. The Catters, St Kilda, I'm glad that they've given a yelp because this game was in grave danger of being turned into an absolute whitewash. I think 161 points is the greatest winning margin that Geelong hold over St Kilda. It wasn't being threatened, but it was on the way.
Two of the young stars of the game showing they've got the great finishing skills. Milne at one end, Wazinski at the other. They're still not out of the woods, though. The Saints 75-33. Geelong with all the contested marks. Look at that. King Lord, Kingsley, Mooney and Harley doing the business overhead for the Cats. Chambers, the first gamer, on the ground. Cripps threads it to Voss. Voss high, right out to the available real estate right half forward. The ball amazingly stays in, and Tom Harley now can pick it up and turn it around. His kick, a good one, finds Kilpatrick at half-back for the Cats. Inboard, Ling in some space. On the right boot, he's looking for the goal scorer. Wazinski finds him. Now to half-forward, Graham on a lead, good mark. Rewald with him. This is all confidence-building stuff for Graham. Wheels around, left boot, long, flying shot at goal. Is it there? On the line, Mooney. Terrific skills. He was, for 99% of that ball's journey, Gary Lyon, trying to shepherd that through.
That'll help the confidence of Ben Graham, surely.
Yeah, indeed. And Mooney will kick this goal. But he was in the right position, James. He was on the goal line, so he was able to sum up in the flight of the footy, whether he was to shepherd or to mark. Probably made a late decision. And it's good positioning.
Cameron Mooney, point-blank range. Goal.
Well, it's got to be said that kicking into what we thought would be a 3 or 4 goal breeze, the Cats have been able to bang on 8 goals, and that's a pretty exceptional performance. Ben Graham has still struggled, and I think his positioning as a forward is just out a little bit. He's been caught in between full forward and centre half forward a bit too much. But that one was, well, if it wasn't a goal, it was pretty close. Cameron Mooney will take it.
Point lead to Geelong, nearing the end of this second quarter. They were supposedly kicking into a slight breeze, but they have added 8 goals to St Kilda's 4 in this quarter. Kilpatrick, quick hands. Once again they attack the Hickey stand in. Graham involved in the last goal, instrumental, swept it on, gave it further afield. It's picked up by Hunt. Left foot snap, goal.
Another goal out of the middle. So important to win that footy from the middle of the ground. And young Josh Hunt gets in on the act. Thought he might have gone. Quick hands to young Ablett on that occasion. Backed himself though and finished it beautifully. So you're allowed to take them on. 8-5 the clearances to the Cats. Yeah, you can take on your opponent as long as you finish properly, and that's what Josh Hunt's managed to do.
So Cats 3 in a row. Blistering second term, and they have wrested the ascendancy right back from the Saints. 14-5. Wonderful second term of football from the Geelong Footy Club. Too long, Blake just ran into Gary Ablett Jr. Cats fans wanted holding the ball. Not sure whether the young man actually applied a tackle in the finish.
I think he surprised himself, didn't he, in the end? He came flying in off the line here. I think he expected him to kick it. And then, oh, gee, rubbed the side of his cheek, did Gary Ablett Jr. And Hasn't got the greatest vision, I don't think. Jason Blake's not the first time I've seen that happen to him. Peripheral vision.
So, again, the umpires take a long time to bounce the footy.
Far too long for my liking, James.
It has been a long stoppage. We still haven't got the ball bounced.
I mean, just immediately the pack forms get in and bounce the ball.
Surely one way of clearing the area.
And it was a shocker.
Gary Ablett threads the handball beautifully to Wazinski. Inside the 50. Thumped away from Graham. Second effort okay from that player. Voss handballs it into the ground. The dangerous Ronnie Burns. Riccardi goes off the ground, kicks it. Very good goal.
Being no doubt on what we've seen today that this Geelong side has got a future, because their senior players have got some skill that, well, you make something out of nothing. Burns creates a goal because of the pressure that's just that it was applied without even really getting to Rewalt, and then it's just the quickness of Peter Riccardi. They got Riccardi, they got Burns. Gary Abbott's been impressive with his hands. Corey, they're all right.
60-point lead to the Cats. St Kilda losing last week by 83 points. 27 seconds remaining in the game.
10-goal second quarter into the breeze, Brian.
Magnificent, and 4 of those, the last 4, have been consecutive goals, answering the 3 in the middle of the quarter from the Saints. Sidestepping Dal Santo, stripped of the ball. Has Corey advanced it forward? Another opportunity. Few seconds left. You can see the seconds ticking over. The Cats could score again. Kilpatrick inside 50. It'll boil down to this contest. Riccardi with some party tricks. Pickett kept him honest. That will be it. At half-time. Oh! Pushed out of the contest there, Clark. Good piece of acting as well. There'll be no silly free kick like last night. And listen to the Cat fans here at Skill Stadium as they get up and applaud their team for such a outstanding second quarter and first half. In fact, 10-goal second quarter. They lead it by a massive 60 points. Look at the fans. They're very, very happy. Gary Ablett Jr., blistering second quarter, 2 goals to him. Riccardi.
Yes, Gary, 3 father and son combinations for Geelong. Scarlett, Clark and Ablett, obviously. The crowd behind me go absolutely berserk when Ablett gets the ball. And when they came off the ground, Cameron Ling said focus, because they're 60 points in front and they obviously don't want to give that away in the second half.
Get to Peter Larkins very, very shortly, but back to James Brayshaw and Brian Taylor.
And the ball on the ground. We see it so often after a restart.
Question's going to be asked to this St Kilda side, boys. They have 10 goals in arrears. They can go one of 2 ways. They can fight back, probably not win the game, but at least salvage some respect, or they can go down that dim, dark hole that was so familiar to them last year.
Stuart Lowe sitting on the bench there, James, starting the second half. Not a good sign.
No, he hasn't enjoyed himself at Skilled Stadium today. The change of name doesn't agree with him. Ling and Thompson. And again, we'll have a bounce, and this might be the right time to go to Dr. Peter Larkins.
Yeah, James, just to say that Heath Black returned to the bench on crutches, so his cork thighs obviously bled significantly, which put him in doubt for next week. And Justin Kozitsky still on the bench. They can't get him out there today for it to run around.
There he is, just on the right of screen there. Heath Black in the middle. It's the Cats by 60 points. You heard Michael Roberts mention Ling. Ball out wide, Riccardi, a significant factor in the first half of football. Ablett, listen to the crowd gather momentum when he goes near the ball. Kick to Kingsley was excellent. And when Ablett gets hold of it, the stadium erupts. Kingsley will line up for goal, and he has 2 to his name already.
Big 2 in the second quarter, Kingsley, and can also find the goals there. Undermanned in the back half, no doubt about that. St Kilda. James Begley has the job on Kingsley.
Kingsley lining up for goal number 3. In he comes, about 45 metres out, city end, just offline. Just the minor score there. Extends the margin to 61 points. And there you see the score. Beautiful day here at Skill Stadium. Sun is shining brightly after a bit of a gloomy first quarter.
The short kick will find Max Hodgson at half-back for the Saints. Thought about playing on, now he does by hand. Pickett came in to lend support and actually chopped out his own option there. Stevie Lawrence did it well. Cripps did it badly. for him.
Probably sums up the afternoon for St Kilda.
Yeah, the acting captain straight over the line. And now Clark will pump it back inside 50. Big fly by Max Hutchton from behind, but Ling's got it set sail from just outside the 50. It's high. It's going to go through. It's a goal.
Well, there hasn't, in the first 2 minutes, been any indication that the urgency that's going to be required for St Kilda to get back into this game is there. And Geelong have pretty much dominated possession in this third quarter. And, well, it's one of these days for the Saints. Things are going right. Ball bounces okay for you. Contest in the goal square between Kingsley and his opponent Begley. But, it's a disappointing result.
If you include the last 4 goals of the second quarter and add Ling's goal just then to it, that is 5 consecutive goals to Geelong. They are looking to pummel St Kilda into submission. Ling, the goal kicker, not able to get clear possession. Swung off the ball, Thompson. Xavier Clark, he's very clean with his hands. Out there to Lawrence. Hayes, little right foot kick around the corner, clever, and found Hamill on the lead. Immediately to Clark. Good vision of what was coming from behind. Duck back on the left boot, long ball. Catalano is held by Scarlett fairly. And Milburn shovels it out the back door.
Scholl with the ball. Steers it towards Wazinski on the outer side. Lots of space now all over the ground for the Cats. His short kick's good and finds Tom Harley. Dangerous lead. Starting to almost border on the embarrassing for St Kilda. So early in the second half to be down by that far. Those gentlemen got nothing to worry about. Chambers to the right there, the young man playing in his first game. Fair entry into AFL footy.
Fair record at Kardinia Park or Skilled Stadium.
Ball back to the wing on the outer side. Milburn mopping up there. Shovels the handball out. Kilpatrick to thump it inside the 50. Riccardi, who's having a day out on the forward line, can't take the mark. Blake gets the handball off to beat them. He wanders across the line, boundary throw-in.
Darren Milburn is the player who's just positioned himself loose across half-back. St Kilda got a spare number through the middle and the back half of the ground and has already taken 2 uncontested marks.
Graham doing the ruck work in the forward line, got the handball, Kilpatrick. He had a little bit of time to slot up and find Ling. Just that handball to space created that opportunity. Free kick's been paid prior to the mark, though, of Ling, and it will go to the youngster James Bartel in just his 4th game of league football.
And an impressive day he's had. He spent most or much of the second half of that second quarter on the interchange bench through the rotation. But he's a wonderful young player.
This to make it 73 points, hits the post. Hits the post there, has had a very good game today, has James Bartel, as I mentioned, in his 4th game. We've played 5 minutes third quarter, 14th possession for Bartel.
So time for some of these Saints to stand up. It's going to be a long afternoon unless they compete hard in this second half. Aussie Jones motioning that perhaps long is the option for him. He thumps it outside his own 50. Rewald will get a run at it. On the ground. It's stumbled out the back to Bartel. Now can he finish on the left boot? This time he misses to the near side. Gary Ablett Jr. offering his condolences. Another behind on the board for Geelong.
Stevie Lawrence, Aussie Jones, Maxie Hutchton, Justin Peckett, these are the guys who have got a lift in the second half to make sure that St Kilda are competitive. They've got young players in this side. If they keep getting belted by 60, 70, 80 points, it can do some awful damage to their confidence.
Long-term damage, Gary?
Well, it can. It can affect just their confidence in themselves and the team, and their love of the game gets challenged.
Ball, Rewalt, and this is one of the players that Gary's talking about. Handballed off. Plenty of time here in the numbers as Cripps followed up. The acting captain of the day goes out wide. From a senior experienced player, there was never ever going to be a St Kilda player on the end of that, and it allowed Foster, who then kicks it back whence it came. Ball on the deck. Trying to bust the tackle was Blake. And he is dumped over the boundary line by a desperate diving Clark as we go down boundary side. Doc Larkins.
Yeah, Vito, we mentioned the 27-minute mark last quarter. Aaron Hamill came up sore, had that shot on goal and missed. Left knee's come out with it heavily strapped, indicating he's got some medial ligament strain there. Not moving well at the moment, Aaron Hamill.
Noble got it to Gary Ablett Jr. He in turn to Clark inside the 50. Almost held back there, Riccardi. Rewald going back with the flight of the ball, took the mark, and now we'll get 50. Ronnie Burns didn't get the ball to him in time.
Well, I asked for some senior players to step up. Maybe it'll be these young fellows that not so much shame but can inspire, and it's poor play by Ronnie, but inspire their more experienced teammates to really lift their work rate a bit.
4 marks on the afternoon for Noble, for Rewald. Schwartz with the ball to get it to half forward. A nest of cats. Some of the foot disposal in the early part of this second half hasn't been very good from St Kilda. Peter Riccardi with 4 goals on the afternoon finds the footy on the wing. Beautiful pass, steered it to Graham. Couldn't take the chest mark. Looks like form still eluding him, but this man bang in form. Steps around, left foot for number 5.
Magnificent.
He is absolutely on fire, and there's a little bit of a contrast, wasn't it, between Ben Graham and Peter Riccardi. Ben Graham, who's trying hard and presenting himself and causing plenty of spillages. Let's just have a look at this one. James Bartel tried to knock the hands away and may have just flicked the nose of Aaron Hamill, but there he is, presenting Ben Graham, keeps the ball in front of himself, able to get a hand off to Riccardi, and then a nice step inside and a beautiful finish.
75-point lead to the Cats. Riccardi's got 5.
And can I just say, wonderful finish, but if Ben Graham keeps presenting in that manner and providing a target and causing a spill to the front at worst, his form will come back sooner rather than later.
When out of form, do all those little things that perhaps get you dirty, and that's what he just did there. Ball forward to Hamill. He's trying, as he always does, a desperate diving Foster there. What an example for a young St Kilda player. He's fair dinkum left a couple of Geelong player, left a couple of St Kilda players on the ground. Bartel's dynamic. Harley, kick into space. Mooney will run onto it. Tapped it out in front. He now applies the tackle on Rewalt. Schwartz is there. Can't win the ball. Cat's got the numbers. Burns, Peckett, Jones, offering, Hayes, tidies up, Cripps. Short ball into the centre. Finds his target. St Kilda, no real method in their approach going forward, just looking to dish it off to a player that doesn't have an opponent. Lawrence eventually got boot the ball. Hamill, front and centred it beautifully. This will roll end on end, and it rolls for a goal. Hamill's got his third.
Hit the post, Brian.
Okay.
Just caught the inside of the goal post, so unlucky. He is sore. Dr. Larkins has mentioned that he has got a, as we have a look at this, just the inside of the post. He's got a crook knee, but he put up sore after that clash that you nominated with Foster as well. So hands on hips there. You don't see Aaron Hamill like that too often.
Milburn to bring the ball back in, goes in short and finds Ling. Ling's got Hunt available, or King, either one. Hunt went without it. King did beautifully. High kick to half forward, mark that. Rewald staying down. Ronnie Burns did it well. Trot punt over the top. Gary Ablett Jr. running onto the ball. Trapped it beautifully. Threads the handball to Kingsley. He can go to Aaron Lord. Waltzes in and kicks a goal.
Lawrence down.
Well, yeah, that's Stephen Lawrence in the hands of the trainers over on that side, but well, we warned about putting too much pressure on kids, but forget about this young fella's name. Just take him as a young 17-year-old, and that's composure, that's clean hands, and that's a footy brain in action at 17 years of age.
Class.
In a nutshell.
Lawrence has, I think, injured his shoulder or arm. In that clash, Stevie Lawrence appears to have come up with an injury. We'll check with Doc Larkins as he just watches his next effort on the ball. And Geelong, 3 consecutive goals starting this second half of football. Noble in the middle. Quick hands Bartel, who's just carving them up. Clark sends it goalward. Graham! This time he's got clean hands, and And look at the centre relief.
Well, the message there, Brian, is that the more often you present yourself as a target, the more chance you've got of taking a mark. And if you're out of form, you've just got to keep, and it can be frustrating and it can be a bit debilitating if you get your hands to it and you dropped it. You've got to play it down here in the middle of the ground, that marking contest. Max Hudson just out of shot. And we go down to Dr. Peter Larkins.
Yeah, Maxie Hudson coming down from the heights there, Gary, landing on the side of his neck, so really jarred his head. He's awake, sitting up, talking to the doctor, but he'll have a sore head and a sore neck. That maybe a little bit of concussion, so they're just assessing him.
Have a look at it right now, Doc.
Yeah, watch the head hit the ground, guys. Just if we see that from a different angle, you'll see him come down and really, as I said, he's awake. You can see in the hands of the club doctor there.
Stretcher on, of course, so we'll have a double break in play.
A double whammy there too, Doc, because I know your focus was on Hudson, and so it should be. And while that was happening, Hamill has limped off the ground as well.
Yeah, BT, I'm sure he's got a medial ligament sprain from that incident that you called when he missed the goal just before half-time, and he came out with a knee strapped. Maxie Hudson, they're a bit concerned about his neck, guys. That's why they're taking the care. So they'll see the full stretcher drill come into place here for the... all the clubs have been drilled on this technique. You'll see them stabilise the neck. They won't move him until they've got a brace on his neck, and then they'll get him gently onto the stretcher and then up onto the motorised cart to take him in. Only as far as the race here, because unfortunately those carts guys can't go down the race, but all care being taken for Maxie Hudson's neck. He fortunately is awake, so if anyone relative-wise concerned about that, but he will have just got a jarred neck out of that.
So honest in the air, Gary, Max Hudson, isn't he? Flies with no regard, look at that, to his own safety.
Yeah, that was a committed spoiling attempt, wasn't it? But unfortunately for Max, this is turning into be a disastrous day, Brian, not only on the scoreboard, which sits at 80 points, and they're staring right down the barrel of a 20-goal loss. Make no mistake about that.
Well,
but they've got Hamill in the injury. They've got Black under an injury cloud. They've got Hudson now off on a stretcher, and Kazitsky, who has been on and off all day with a back.
and they've got Hamill, as you mentioned there, coming off, but not only that, Ben Graham is lining up to make it 90 points. So...
And the spark for this quarter, after the half-time break, has been two young blokes, James Bartell and Gary Ablett Jr. 5 touches to Bartell, 4 to Ablett.
You guys said 90 points there, but 86 if Graham was to convert the resultant kick here. And just some telling third-quarter stats, Gary. Hardball gets in this quarter so far that have seen Geelong kick 3 goals and lining up for number 4. Geelong 8 hardball gets, St Kilda 3, and the tackles 6-1 in favour of the Cats.
Oh, well, it does tell the story, no doubt about that, as Max Hudson taken from the ground there, awake and conscious, but as the doctor has said, precautionary neck brace, and he'll get the best care, there's no doubt about that. All of the AFL medicos are to be commended for their duty of care, but the duty of care right now lays with the rest of these St Kilda players. There's about 18 fit ones left. They're 80 points behind. It's only, well, 15 minutes into the third quarter, but there's still probably 20 minutes of playing time, and they've got a breeze behind them, the Cats, that could see this Ben Graham drop punt sail into Corio Bay. So it is going to be a long afternoon.
Ben Graham, we saw him lead out and mark the ball strongly, something that his coach Mark Thompson will be very pleased with, as you see the gentle operation taking process there. It's part of what these medicos are drilled in, as you heard Dr. Larkin say, all care until the patient is confirmed to be okay. And we'll have Ben Graham line up. He's directly in front. Distance will be about half of what he's capable of from 45. He hasn't kicked a goal to date. And this, along with the mark that he took, will just elevate his confidence somewhat. So the players will have to go through a bit of a process of getting themselves warm again. It's been an extended break.
And if you've ever seen the easiest kicking style of a ball that will carry at least 60 metres, you have a look at this bloke. He's 73% is his probability of kicking this. The AFL average sits on 50.
Yep.
And I don't think I've seen a sweeter timer of the football. Having said all that, he could shank it.
Ben Graham, you see the ball over the left kicking leg, beautifully done, and then he just pulls it, Gary, off to the right-hand side, and that's a minor score from the very capable kicking Ben Graham.
Only half kicked it, I reckon, Brian. That was
Did he give him a wind up there or what? No, look, he probably got a bit cold, James Brayshaw.
Yes, as Ozzy Jones has Does the footy, thinks about going, and then pulls the ball back in. Does the same again. Called to go, and he does. Lenny Hayes will hand it back to Aussie Jones. Now he's got no choice but to go. Looks to Milne, who's a long way from his own goal front. That's where he's got to go to get a kick. And he kicks it high. Good mark, Cameron Ling. Fine young player for the Cats. And he did that very well. Pumps the left foot drop punt back inside the 50. Graham flew. King was there as well. There's some tall timber. Blake under siege. Riccardi with 5 goals. Now Lenny Hayes has to fight against a number of blue and white jumpers. Free kick's going to be picked out here, and it's going to go to young Bartel. Perhaps too far out to score, even kicking with the breeze. 19 possessions on the day for him. He goes long in search of King and finds him. Terrific kick, and the mark was very good as well.
I'm sure this is something that Mark Thompson would like to do more often as his season rolls on, and that is push Stephen King to the goal square, because for, what would he be, 6'8", 9 or 10, not sure. He moves so very well and has got a good pair of hands and converts so well. It's a really difficult matchup. So with Paul Chambers in the side, he has the luxury of doing that, and Peter Street perhaps to return in the coming weeks.
Wouldn't mind betting too that Ben Graham will come off the ground shortly. The doctor's been out there and he's stretching very tight out there, so watch
down
for
on
that.
Confidence, you'd like to stay out when you're 90 points up.
I reckon you should isolate him in the square one out now.
Stephen King with the ball. Great angle of the shot he's got on goal, and he has split the middle. Raining goals at Skilled Stadium.
Well, it'll be a difficult shot from over there unless you're trained here, I reckon, and played here regularly, and that would be the advantage of playing on the ground that you train probably 3 or 4 nights a week, or probably every day these days. With good hands, Matthew Capuano, unable to score.
What about putting Ben Graham back to the square one out now, just to see if he can get some loose ball without a lot of attention?
Yeah, well, he is down there, but he's got Big Kingy as company.
So back here at Skilled Stadium, there are the scores. 19 minutes played, just over 11 minutes remaining, an extended quarter due to the fact that Max Hudson of St Kilda was carted off on the stretcher from an unfortunate landing. Ball knocked in the middle. Hayes fresh-aired that one. Thompson in over the top.
You mentioned the injury toll, BT, and it's starting to grow for the Saints. Hodgson, Thompson, Black and Hamill already in this game. Add that to Burke, Gehrig, Harvey, Everett and Moyle, and that's a club with some injury problems.
A repeat of last year.
Last goal way back in the second quarter seems like an eon.
Yes, the 24-minute mark of the second quarter, when Milne sidestepped beautifully in front of goal to kick, was the last for the Saints. Clark, like the look of this youngster, Aussie Jones, handball intercept. Just no purpose out there for the Saints. They are just reacting to Geelong's game plan rather than implementing their own. As you look at the contested marks there, 14-3 in favour of Geelong, as we look at the Hamill injury perhaps there. Another knock on the knee, Gary.
Well, the way he was doubled over, I wonder whether it was a sort of side and hip situation as well. I watched him get up and he didn't grab the knee, but he was walking very gingerly. Don't know, he saw. Let's leave it at that.
He sits on the pine now. Aussie Jones close to the boundary line. Thought about the right, brought it back on the left, high ball. And that has been the order of the day for the Saints. Just kick it high to wherever. Ball inboard. Graham caught it on the hop. Couldn't dish off. Schwartz in there, handball into heavy traffic. Scholl flicked it out the back. Got to be a throw. Free kick, St Kilda. It's in half back.
Yes, that was ambitious at best, BT, wasn't it, from Brad Scholl?
Indeed.
Up forward now, they've got Justin Gazitsky, who we know is struggling big time across half forward. And Stuart Lowe, who has had a pretty quiet day, just the 3 touches.
Milne goes sideways to Aussie Jones. Long drop punt now in the low direction. Milburn just camped back there far too easily, takes the mark, and he gets it to Brad Scholl. Not a great kick from him, but Tom Harley good enough to pick it up, get it to the wing. Schwartz dispossessed. Peckett out there as well. The tackling ferocious from the Cats. For a team that is so far in front, their work rate off the ball is still fantastic. Look at that, effective kicks, 103 to 57. These sort of stats you would imagine with the scoreline reading the way it does are going to keep coming up. And that is amazing.
87-point lead to the Cats. 22 minutes in this third quarter. Another belting for St Kilda coming up here today, following on their effort over Port Adelaide last week. Free kick going Geelong's way. Centering ball. Allowed Hunt to run onto it. Handball. Missed opportunity there by Clark. And a turnover here. We'll see Xavier Clark get a free kick at centre-half back. Doc Larkins.
Yeah, the Doc's still in the rooms with Maxie Hudson, so they'll be checking him out there. Aaron Hamill did injure the knee a second time in that incident, Gus.
There's another one.
Well, Stewie Lowe has just been unloaded.
Can I tell you that Jared Brook, he is fearless. He's only a youngster. I saw him last week, some highlighted vision of him against the Kangaroos. He took on Glenn Archer, I think it was, or maybe Lee Colbert.
He's got up very sore here too, Stuart Lowe.
Eyes only for the footy.
Gets it off to Begley. He goes in short. That's not far enough, so he's going to get it back, James Begley. Pumps the long drop punt inside the 50, and this should result in a mark, and it does.
I'd like to get a shot of Stuart Lowe in just a moment. He can hardly move. We've got all those injured players on the bench, but I tell you what, he can barely walk.
Brett Voss, the player that found himself in some space. There you are, BT. Let's go to Mark Roberts.
Michael, in fact.
Michael Roberts. Apologies, Michael.
The clash happened right in front of us, Stewie Lowe. Yeah, sucked it in. He had a few words to himself, but he's okay.
He's a big boy, Stewie Lowe.
What did he say, Michael?
We just can't repeat what he said, but just suck the oxygen in. He's all right.
Voss hits the top of the post. So nothing going right for the Saints.
It sums up the day. You should not miss that if you're an AFL footballer. And
right on top of the knob there. Has been marked in defence by the Cats, and they're just doing as they wish here today. Young Joshua Hunt started the day on the interchange bench. Clark, Hunt combining. They move the ball forward. Scarlett just a little bit relaxed in his approach in an attempt to mark. Handball into the running shoal. One of the old stages from the back line. Kick to centre half. Graham. Now there's another one. I think St Kilda are playing the Geelong captain back into form. Short ball. Ablett couldn't mark it. Over the back, Lawrence. He's under the pump. Ablett comes again. Lawrence did wonderfully well to weave his way through heavy traffic and find Rewalt.
He goes again with the drop punt. Looking for Kazitsky out there, who takes it quite nicely. Inboard, his kick had to be perfect to Peckett. In the end, he's been paid either the mark or a free kick. I'm not sure which.
Oh, that's 50, nearly.
Yeah. And he's going to be called back. Just 3 possessions on the day for Justin Peckett.
don't you think in the last 3 minutes it's just got untidy for the Cats? I reckon they've started to just flirt with their form a little bit. And Leroy's a bit. And there's Milburn, and I don't think Mark Thompson will be too impressed with that. He hasn't had an opponent this quarter, Darren Milburn, so he should be doing everything he can to stay out on the field, because he's had a bit of a picnic this particular quarter. But no, they're just flirting around with it a bit. Leroy's-ing a touch.
Justin Peckett to try and stop the bleeding. 8 goals in a row for Geelong. Can they answer with one from 40 metres out directly in front? Peckett, drop punt on the way, and I fear he has sprayed that as well. Behind the Saints, absolutely having a nightmare at Gould Stadium.
Well, you can find out as much about your team when you're in front by this much as you can when you're behind, I think, just to see who's hungry, who wants to keep pushing, who wants to do the disciplined and team things. And I think Mark Thompson will gather some valuable information on his players in the next quarter and a half.
Shoal off and Kingsley on as the transfer of ball takes place. Through half-back, Harley. Good play. They've moved it untouched by St Kilda through Clark. Takes 3 bounces through the middle. Closed on the 50 arc. Long ball. Burns got his man out position. Knocked it forward. Off hands. Lord has goal with number 4. Ever so easy for the Cats.
Easy as that, wasn't it? Through the middle of the ground, David Clark, a ball carrier. great leg speed. And a dangerous spot on the ground. You just need a contest, and Aaron Lord first in, leading his man, Justin Peckett, who missed up the other end of the ground. Pays the ultimate price. He's having a pretty good afternoon, Aaron Lord. 4 goals.
Aaron Lord kicks goal number 4, 15 goal margin now. As we approach three-quarter time. Geelong absolutely having a day out. In front of their adoring fans at Skilled Stadium. Clean possession to the first game at Chapman. Linking handball ends up with Harley. His high ball to half forward. Graham has it thumped away by Rewald. Ball across the line.
Well, let's put it in some context. Geelong are playing well. St Kilda, they're not playing in Essendon or a Brisbane or someone along those lines. I know they've got a lot of injuries, but they aren't playing the greatest team in the competition at the moment, and they are being made to look absolutely second-rate.
In fact, they're playing the worst team in the competition as far as clearances go, Gary. Rated 16th before this game, Geelong. Kick goes forward, and Lord has marked the game, keeping in mind he's kicked 4 goals, 2 in this quarter. I think this one might be stretching his capabilities in terms of length of kick. Nevertheless,
he'll have a crack at it. Don't worry about that, Ron.
He does like to see the salute. 44% probability for Aaron Lord from this position, and that is pretty good odds. Goal number 5, prove me wrong, brilliant.
Third goal for the quarter to Aaron Lord. 5th for the match. And again, far too easily. They're just not getting any resistance at the moment, the Cats. And when you play AFL footy, you expect a tougher contest than what you're getting at the moment. They'll make the most of it, and they'll take every advantage they can get, Geelong. But at the end of the day, almost you're disappointed that there's not more resistance.
97-point margin. As we're not even at three-quarter time yet. The Cats splitting St Kilda right down the middle. Back in the centre, 2 youngsters, Noble and Chapman, go at it. Thompson threads a handball back to Beetham, who's kept trying for the Saints. High kick, Milburn, well done. Has been paid the mark across half-back. And he will now look further afield to Corey, who's in all sorts of space. He pumps the Cats back to half forward. Lord just kicked 2 goals in as many minutes. Stays on his feet, but he's given the free kick away.
That could be the worst decision today, that.
Rewald's got it at half-back. Drop punt kick looking for Stewie Lowe. I think the ball missed his hands altogether. Tom Harley picks it up, tumbles it back. Stewie this time has got it. Lenny Hayes steps out of the tackle. Blake forced to go back on himself. Very well done there again by Bartel for the Cats. So much time all around the ground. Clark with the footy, steers it out wide and finds a teammate in Kingsley. He can dump it over the top if he likes. Decides to go further afield. Look at the time here for Riccardi. Thought about playing on. He did not have an opponent within 10 metres of him. Peter Riccardi.
Well, the darkest hours of St Kilda last year would be comparing favourably with right now. I know they're undermanned. I know they've got some big injuries and some big names out. But a few games I've seen since I've finished playing anyway, Brian, where there's been such one-way traffic.
Couldn't agree more, Gary.
5 goals on the afternoon for Peter Riccardi. This to make it number 6. Kick on the way. I think he may have pulled it to the near side. That is a behind. He's not happy about it either.
Yes, and we've got to endure another 30 minutes of this, of course. Who knows what the eventual margin will be.
There's only been one 100-point game or margin this year, and that was the Hawthorn-Brisbane game in round 2. 102 points there. 98 here today.
He's having a crack. There's
Rewald.
one.
Yep.
Nick Rewald. Count them off.
Beetham Always kicks the ball high. His disposal's not so good. Out wide, Noble interfered with, so he got the free kick. The umpire paid the advantage to Blake as he went forward to Lowe in half a gallop low marks. Now they zone off him somewhat, knowing that he probably won't attempt to kick the goal, and he rightly disses it off to Hayes, and he'll shoot on goal. 21 possessions, Lenny Hayes.
He's having a crack, so let's just tick these off as we go along. Had 33 last week.
Yep.
Magnificent.
How did you know that?
Just off the top of my head, mate.
33 last week to Lenny Hayes, and he's followed it up today. Comes in, 45-degree angle about this one. The Hickey stand there is what confronts him.
Left goal post, Brian.
A little bit of left to right in it, Gary. I would agree with that. And he's perhaps hung it out all the way to the right. It was never going to get there when the natural curve of the ball is from the left goal post.
Yeah, only a little thing, and we're working hard to try and find interesting facts in this game. But the last 3 shots at goal that have all been very gettable for St Kilda have missed to the right-hand side. You've got to learn, don't you? You have to stay in this contest and learn from those past 2 kicks. If he was going to miss on that occasion, he had to miss to the left-hand side, Lenny Hayes.
Milburn in short. Kilpatrick the recipient. And he squares it to Wazinski. Again, they go short. Clark on this occasion. Mind you, they can keep going short if they've got players as available as these Geelong players are at the moment. Lord, 5 goals on the afternoon at half-back. Graham and Rewald. Rewald perhaps could have hung on to that. Gary Ablett Jr. appealing for the holding the ball decision. Was always a little ambitious. Jason Cripps on screen, the captain today for the Saints. He won't leave Skilled Stadium with too many fond memories of his outing as the coin tosser. Begley tries to thread a handball through to Dal Santo. There's Gary Ablett Jr. Awareness there from the young man to get the handball to a teammate. Kick inside 50, not great. Lenny Hayes, now Rewalt, ducks and weaves. Capuano with the footy. He goes to the outer side. Again, they kick to a contest, and here's Gary Ablett Jr. The pace, the poise, as he gets it to Kingsley. Kingsley, the long ball inside the 50. Parked back there is King, can't hang on. Bartel stripped to the footy. There's the siren. 134 plays 37.
97-point margin here at 3/4 time, Gary.
Mercy for the siren. 6 St Kilda players have had 10 possessions or more, 13 for Geelong. That tells the story. In fact, that scoreline tells the story. It is a disaster for St Kilda. Geelong set for a 20-goal-plus victory here at Skilled Stadium. We'll take a break and we'll bring you all the last quarter action. You're watching AFL Sunday. Blue's got a very bad cork thigh on crutches, so he'll be out for some time. Aaron Hamill's been in the wars. He's got one to the knee. We think he's got a medial ligament. Peter Larkins will update us all, of course. Maxie Hutchinson carried off on a stretcher, and he'll be out, well, certainly for the rest of this game. Big Stewie Lowe caught one that he recovered from but looked proppy. So it is the walking wounded at the minute, and it has not been a great day. An understatement. Brian Taylor and James Brayshaw to take us home.
97 points the margin as we get the 4th quarter underway at Skilled Stadium. Absolute thumping.
Been a doctor's feast today, hasn't it?
Well, let's go and check in with the doc, Peter Larkins.
Oh, Gary Lyon did such a great job, James, but Maxie Hudson on the way to hospital at the moment, James, to have precautionary x-rays of his neck. He's awake and moving in case anyone's listening, so he's conscious. It's standard for form to do that. Aaron Hamill's had 2 injuries to the medial ligament. We saw the second one in that incident with Foster, and he will certainly be looking like he might be on the sidelines for a couple of weeks, guys, not walking very well. And Heath Black, we know, with a severe corky, as Dr. Lyon told us before.
Well, we know you've got a big round-up after the game, Dr. Larkin, so we want you to rest up, and we expect a stellar performance. This could be your greatest moment.
Aaron Hamill cutting a lonely figure on the bench there for the Saints. Again, they stream forward. Riccardi with the ball, looking for Graham. Beecham just giving the chop out for the Saints defence, but Graham's going to get it back. He's going to kick a goal for the Cats. 100 points plus.
Oh, that was volleyball.
tell me what the method of disposal from Ronnie Burns to his skipper Ben Graham was all about. And there's Ronnie, look. A little bit of the Darwin coming out, a little bit of rugby. Have a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Ronnie takes on a tackler or two, and this is interesting. Well, you've got to be joking. Tell me why you couldn't pick that up.
Oh, no.
That's the Russell Even.
A semi-flick pass.
No,
there
no
from Ronnie
semi in
Burns.
that, mate. That is the greatest flick pass in the history of football, Adelaide included.
Umpire didn't see it.
Oh.
Everyone else at the ground did. Milne on the end of it. Graham running back into some form now in the latter stages of this game. Out wide, Clark, who's tried hard all day and delivered, has been a high possession getter in the midfield there. Kicks ball to Graham, traps it. You can just see his confidence raising with every possession. Look at Ronnie Burns, and he threw it again. The umpire's a long way away this time, but he got it.
Well, if you're ever going to leerise, I guess, it's when you're 103 points up, and Ronnie just trying to put on a bit of a show for the boys.
Just the party tricks at the
Well, he
moment.
thought I got away with it before. Why can't I get away with it again?
Well, the umpire is in identical position, James Brayshaw.
Nick Riewoldt had a big piece of Ronnie's jumper, and he's left it in tatters up the top there. Ball at half forward for the Cats. As has been the case all day, they've got the numbers. Kilpatrick threads the handball to King. King, the high kick inside the 50. They can raffle it here, Geelong. Clark in the end took the mark. He got a little assist from Gary Ablett Jr.
Great work, wasn't it? Good awareness from the youngster playing his first season of footy. Just managed to get his opponent out of the road for David Clark.
Clark from about 50 directly in front. Well, he started at the left goal post. No, he sprays it out to the right also. Uncontested mark taken on the line, or is it a behind? Let's wait on the goal umpire. They'll confer, and it is. So they increase the margin by a point.
I think the field umpire may have overruled the goal umpire there. From my look at it. In the meantime, Thompson has possession of the ball as the Saints bring it back into play. Beetham, defensive 50. Brings it out wide. Milne normally works forward, forced to play up on the wing here. Desperate diving. Captain for Geelong there, Ben Graham. Free kick paid will go St Kilda's way, and that is Begley. Kick to Xavier Clark. A little bit iffy. Thought Gary Lyon. Clark takes his man on, runs around in Clark. The opposing Clark over the head. Scarlett, Kozinski both there. Neither could win it. Wazinski got it to Harley. Harley with a hurried handball to Scarlett. Just trying to dribble one to the boundary line. Bounced off the back of Wazinski there, and the boundary line forthcoming.
Having had a great deal of work to do today, the Geelong defence, but Matthew Scarlett again impressive. Hasn't conceded a goal to my knowledge today, and has taken on and beaten Lowe, Riewoldt and Kozinski.
Inside the 50, rare territory indeed for the Saints today. And Riccardi, who has had his own football to play with today at Skill Stadium, dribbles that across the line. He's kicked 5, Peter Riccardi, in a stellar performance. Kilpatrick, the man on screen. Thompson running with him. Lots of these Geelong players have enjoyed this Sunday at their newly named stadium. Free kick's been picked out of all of that. It's going to go to the Saints. Big Trent Noble, the recipient, thought about squaring it to Capuano, now pumps it along. Milburn backing back. Harley flying from the front. They can raffle it back there. Milburn on the ground as they bring it away. That kick may be just a little fierce, or has Mooney taken the mark? Boundary umpire's happy with it.
Doc Larkins gives him a pat on the back as he goes past.
Loves to get involved. The Doc, Cameron Mooney now with the ball, and his kick looking for Gary Ablett Jr. is wide.
Doc's advice. We've gone for the record books, boys. I'm going to update you. There's 4 possible records that could be on the go at the moment. I've just got to keep the interest up here. It's 104 points of difference.
You're going to tell us shortly, are you, Gary?
No, I'm working on them. It's an ongoing process, Brian.
Peckett from half-back. Capuano We wait for those records to be put forward from Gary Lyon. Kick forward has been marked by Mooney.
The greatest winning margin's got to be one of them, Gaz, surely.
No, it sits at 161, James, so I don't think that's going to be threatened.
Out of reach, you think? I'm not so sure. The way they're playing, because this is nothing more than token pressure that you would see a coach order his players to deliver at training at the moment. Voss has got the ball on half-back. 15 minutes remaining in the game, and you can see the difference there, 104 points. Just slow to a walk. Voss, what do I do with it? Do I kick it long? Do I kick it short? Do I square it? He finds Begley. Now Rewald drops off the pack, and the ball will go over the top, so he found space. Clever thinking by him. On the point of the square. Long ball forward. Schwartz over the head, couldn't mark. King now has to gather some momentum in his defensive end. Schwartz follows up his own kick. He got there quickly. Wazinski ties it up, ball up. What are we chasing, Gary? Come on.
That's a work in progress at the moment, Brian, and they'll be updated very, very shortly.
And there is the scoreboard, Gary. A bit of a down memory lane here with the manual scoreboard. That is all we've got to go on here. No electronic scoreboard here at Cardinia Park. Just the manual variety.
Well, that ball picked up for the Saints by Dal Santo, and he has kicked a belated goal there for St Kilda. Well done.
It's the young player, and these are the young players that will be scarred by an afternoon such as this, Brian.
First goal for St Kilda since the 24-minute mark of the second quarter, Gary, and we are in the early stages of the last quarter.
11 goals in a row. That breaks a run of 11 in a row as Peter Riccardi set this game up. 5 goals. Comes to the interchange bench, and Cameron Ling ventures back on to the playing field.
Peter Riccardi comes off for a well-deserved rest. Kicked 5 goals in his effort today. Spells in the midfield. Spent a lot of time up forward. Back in the middle, you can see the shade of the member stand gradually creeping out to the east side of the ground here at Skilled Stadium. Kick forward. Burns in there working hard. Schwartz extracts the ball to Begley. Kick. Nothing really gained out of that. Hayes over the top. Capuano. Here's something for St Kilda. A bit of open field in front. Kick to Kazitsky. Couldn't control it. Beautiful side step there in the end. Dal Santo. Milne, the expert at it. Little kick. Come about 5 metres. Scarlett Galena of it now. Here go the Cats. They've got space. And the loose man. Kilpatrick will deliver it downfield to Kingsley. He's got room to run and play on. Graham offers the lead. No go there. He goes the long ball. Lord has a handful today. Smothered off the boot. Anticipation of the crowd. Seeing Lord possibly convert his 6th goal.
Uses his body very well, Aaron Lord, doesn't he? Just a little nudge at the right time, create some space for himself.
Rewald goes in search of Capuano. Unable to take the mark at the front was Corey. Now Cameron Mooney lending his assistance. Gary Abler Jr. goes thumping in. Voss picks it up, kicks it down the line. Again, all the numbers with Geelong. Harley's got it to Ling. And Ling looking for his skipper at half forward. Ball carries him, and the 2 St Kilda defenders surely claimed high Blake. Free kick comes. Beetham with the ball. Looks for Peckett. The spoil will come from Kilpatrick. Out there also is Hunt for Geelong, and he did it nicely backwards to Ling. Ling can go by hand inboard to Harley, and Harley's short kick will find Gary Abler Jr. He brings the house down every time he gets near it. Squares the ball. Bartell's got it. Shot on goal. It's going to fall short. Ball on the ground. Lord looking for number 6. Picks it up and delivers.
Well, that's just too easy for Aaron Lord. A great effort to kick 6 goals, but he's running away from goal. He's got some pressure on him, and still St Kilda allowing to get this ball to boot. Like, this shouldn't happen. Let's have a look at this. Ball smothered. Now, in that position, running away from goal, and a tackler coming and another tackler, that is just disgraceful. And I don't care how far behind you are. To break a tackle like that is poor effort.
3 St Kilda players there, the opportunity.
The records on offer. 102 points is the highest winning margin for season 2002. It's in danger. The highest score at 2002, 24-11. That is in grave danger. It could be the second greatest winning margin in round 4 of all time.
2 of those, Gary, though, very early in the season. You say 2002, but we're
Try points.
barely 4 rounds in, Gaz.
Long afternoon.
Milne with a mongrel ball out wide. Did nothing except find the boundary line on the bounce of a boundary throw-in. There he is. The stepper as the best crab movement in league football. That is sideways, James.
Nice.
Knocked down. Trying to get on the end of it there was Rook. Has had a little bit of a quiet second half. Ling over the top of the ball. Let's go down to Michael Roberts.
Yes, with Freo coming up next week, Geelong have decided to rest Stephen King, Brad Scholl, Peter Riccardi. They've taken the petrol off.
Boundary throw-in. Noble and Chapman. Chapman's been impressive in his first game. Young Gary Ablett Jr., Gaz, every time he gets near the footy, he gets a rousing reception, which is a wonderful mark of respect for what his father did at this footy club. I'm sure if young Gary Lyon Jr., any 3 of them ever pull on the blue and red, the same will occur at the MCG. Scarlett with the ball at half-back for the Cats. Gets it to Ling. His handball inside to Wazinski's very good. And he goes long in search of Kingsley. Mooney it was. Can't find that player, but he butters up on the ground pretty well. Aussie Jones comes in to chop it out for the Saints.
Jones forward. Look at that for a kick. Straight to Wazinski, who was fair dinkum. It was like he was kicking to his own man. Had a paddock, ball out wide. 23,563 here today. Just about capacity at this stadium these days. Ling under the pump. Brushed the tackle off. Now the booming kick. Wasn't so good. It was a low ball. Graham on the lead. Couldn't hold the mark. He's tight on the boundary line. Back to Ling. Hands let him down there. Bootham gathered the ball. Kicked it back. The crowd really starting to buzz here. And the ball over the boundary line.
Well, the thing you get disappointed about from Grant Thomas, amongst everything else, the things that you can control, and hitting targets, Aussie Jones is one of them, and laying tackles is another one, and they are the things that are just crawling by the wayside.
Graham on the lead, leaves it for Ablett. Ablett is marked, look at the inside 50s. Now Gary Ablett Jr. will line up for goal. He's kicked 2. They both came in the second quarter. And here running into traffic. A little bit of courage needed there. You're never quite sure in that circumstance.
11 possessions.
And there he is, Dad, sitting up in the stand next to Michael Baker. The manager, Gary Ablett Jr. The reverse angle. In he comes, looking for goal number 3. Across the face. And out of bounds on the full, in fact, so we couldn't make something out of that, James, could we?
Well, even Dad missed the odd one. Although, as we get further away from his playing days, there'll come a time when he never missed any. Gary Ablett.
We'll just look at Gary Lyon now.
Exactly right. Newell claims that mark, even though the ball bounced about a foot in front of him. Now Aussie Jones steps around. He'll need to bounce and does. Drop punt, very nice to Stevie Lawrence at half forward.
Better, wasn't it, from Aussie Jones? Hits the target.
Xavier Clark will have to do well here. Lenny Hayes can pick it up, go by hand to Clark if he likes. He goes by foot instead. Clark with the finish. Is it there? No, it isn't. Touched over the line for a behind.
I tell you, amongst all the youngsters, I've really liked the game of Jared Rook. The youngster in that back pocket had Stevie Milne for most of the day. He's been very, very good, very hard, and I really like this fella too.
Foster.
You heard Normie Dare speak about him at three-quarter time.
Yep, in his 3rd year at the club, but didn't play much of last year with injury. Bump off the ball by Lawrence was delivered, and I think there'll be repercussions out of that. Harley's the man that received.
From what point of view, though, you're saying?
Well, it was off the ball, Gary, and we just see perhaps the explanatory vision there that it was a clear shepherd, not what perhaps we thought initially.
And the free kick's been paid to...
Just an off-the-ball thing.
It's been paid to St.Kilda, isn't it?
No, it's going to Harley, and the decision there being that Shepherd too far off the ball. It's all quite legal. Lawrence just pointing the finger at the umpire. He's retreated back, Harley, and gone a long, long way back to Joshua Hunt, who gathers the ball inside defence at 50. Looks up, he's got Wazinski. Now, Wazinski has got 10 acres in front. He gathers, he'll take one bounce. He'll go a second if he wishes. No, he looks the long kick. Smothered midair. Cripps. Back. Thompson. Looking for Peckett or Clark inside. Neither wanted it. Hunt went at it. Sun might have got them all, perhaps. Look at the Geelong players gathered around the ball, waiting to pick it up. Corey went in. He was slung. Dispossessed. Umpire lets it go, and eventually the ball up.
Lenny Hayes, put your hand out for your paycheck at the end of the day, son. From a St Kilda point of view, he has had a red-hot go. He won the footy, 25 possessions, and he's still giving his all. Outmarked, out-handballed, out-kicked, completely outplayed at St Kilda today.
Outscored 47-44. You don't see that scoreline very often in modern football. Quite extraordinary. Here's Lenny Hayes. Gaz tries to thread the handball. Unable to do so. And this young brigade for the Cats, so impressive. The composure and the running there from Rook was excellent. Kilpatrick, perhaps the other end of his career, will be loving playing with talented young players. Glenn Kilpatrick in no hurry. He sees something he likes. High drop punt. There's Lenny Hayes again. He's wrapped up in the Bartel tackle. Clark, great smother there from Cripps. Ball across the line.
Jason Cripps has tried hard as well, as you always expect him to. Have a look at the possession winners. That is no, or kicks, rather, that is no great surprise.
So from the boundary throw-in, Noble works his way to the front, thumps it straight back across the line.
King coming back on. Harley after that heavy knock.
That too, he got one early, didn't he, in the first couple of minutes, where he's also a bit shaky, so probably a good idea.
Just clearing himself there as he takes a well-deserved break. Ball at ground level. Foss. Clark, Xavier Clark of St Kilda. Handball to Aussie Jones. He's got another handball on in the middle. Takes a bounce. Then handballs. The misunderstanding there has cost them. The ball would now be inside 50. Beetham. Left boot to nowhere in particular. Left Foster onto the ball. Scarlett tidies it up. Ling will be under pressure the moment he grabs the ball, but he did it very well. Back to Foster. The first game of Chambers. Over the top, Kilpatrick. Milnes in there. Clark got to go at it hard here. Lenny Hayes did. He went straight through. Unfortunately, there were 4 Geelong jumpers there. Ling. Corey. Here we go. Lord's got 6. He won't diss this off. He will go. Look at it. And eventually he does. Mooney will kick the easiest of goals. But he's second, Mooney.
Well, I think it's fair to say that Karen Moore had 7 in his sights. Did the right thing, did the team thing. He just keeps finding the footy, Aaron. I'm not sure if anyone's been on him all afternoon. In fact, he has won some contested footy as well. He's used, I said earlier, used his body really well. Eyes for the goals here. Lordy breaks that tackle. And he says, oh, I better get it over. And Cameron Mooney says, OK, I'll take that one. Uncontested possession, Geelong 182, Saints 144.
Cameron Mooney with goal number 2. And this margin has crept out to 109 points in favour of the home side. Infringing team there, Geelong. Noble will hand it off to Thompson. Thompson looking for but not finding Peckett. Hunt out there as well. Now Foster picks it up. Short kick to Kilpatrick. He'll go longer. There thinking about his opponent holding on to the footy for too long. In the end, the umpire says, I'll have it.
Hayden Beetham probably been one of 3 or 4 Saints who have been satisfactory today.
It's one of the few times I think this year has actually played the entire game, Gary, so good sign for him.
On the restart, Mooney now a little stint on the ball. Aussie Jones just barrels the handball down the line. Lenny Hayes, well done. Got it to Thompson. Thompson looking for Steve Lawrence, unable to find that player. Ling mopped up, getting the ball back there. Going to get it back, 2 possessions. That's always nice on the sheet. And the kick was good too. And it finds Graham. Left boot. Inside the 50, good mark. Kingsley, the player, on the end of that lovely foot pass from Ben Graham. The players go to him now. The captain perhaps just rediscovering himself in round 4.
He's had 16 possessions, Ben Graham, and played inside 50 for most of the day. That's a pretty handsome, not handsome, pretty handy return.
Kingsley with 2 goals on the game.
See if the Geelong players know that the pushing breeze here will be left to right, Gary.
Well, they should start at left, Brian. I'll tell you what. That's a good kick.
Goal. Kingsley's got 3.
Yeah, it didn't look good off the boot, boys, but that is the highest score for season 2002, boys. I'm sure you'll be excited about that as we count the clock down to what's been one hell of a spanking from a St Kilda point of view. Good grab from Ken Kingsley. He's an interesting proposition. If he can take the 3rd or 4th best defender in the opposition side, he could bob up with 3 or 4 a game.
Most capable indeed, Kent Kingsley with 3 goals today. 115 points the margin here at St.Kilda Stadium. 4 minutes remaining in the game. Good opportunity for Cats players. Perhaps not getting a lot of the ball to just get a piece of the action. Kilpatrick has worked hard in and under and around the midfield today. As he gets up. St Kilda, where do they go from here, Gary Lyon?
They go into a deep meeting tomorrow morning at Moorabbin, Brian, and you can't hide from it. You cannot hide from it. They just got to face some home truths. They go into the medical clinic too, by the looks of that bench.
Grant Thomas, I want to ask you in a moment when we get the next break in play, if you were Grant Thomas, what would you say to the players immediately after the game today as Noble tries to pick it up? Just taken out of his hands by Gary Ablett Jr. Thought about the right foot. Very unselfish player. Gave it back in the middle, Clark. Over the top, the young fella Chambers, the first game, slipped over. Even the young guys trying to do some party tricks. Grant Thomas, what do you say after the game today, Gary Lyon?
I wouldn't give him an out. I wouldn't give him the excuse of injuries and those sorts of things. I think you're going to have to sit down with a tape, and where you get most critical is in the areas of the game where you can actually control what you are doing. Your marking, the tackles that you missed, the ones that you didn't lay. We're not going to get to that margin of 161 points, but it feels like it. They've got to take accountability and responsibility for today. I mean, there are injuries, there are players missing. These blokes have got to assume a bit of it, a lot of it.
Beckett running hard, not able to control that ball, however. Across the line, boundary throw in.
What I'm saying is there's no excuse for Aussie Jones bursting through the middle of the ground and kicking straight to the opposition. That's not an injury thing. That's not a morale thing. That is a skill concentration thing. They're the things that Grant Thomas will be disappointed about.
Corey works back on this, picks it up, looking for the line. Dr. Peter Larkins takes a very nice chest mark in the race. You know you're going well when even the Doc can get a kick.
He's had a ripper today. He's had a number of possessions, Doc.
Cripps with the drop punt. Lawrence one out as the marking forward inside the 50. That tells us something. Dumps Ling over the line. A few players don't like what they saw.
A bit late now. It's a bit late now when you're 100 and... What are you behind, Brian? I can't even get up that much.
115.
When you're 115 points behind to start laying the big tackle like that.
So, last rites at St.Kilda Stadium. Geelong have had it all their own way. Wojcinski threads the handball back to Cameron Ling. His kick out wide, very good, finds Aaron Lord across half-back. Surely, Gary, if you're someone like perhaps Matthew Scarlett, now's the time in the game you might just sniff forward and see if you can get a sausage for yourself.
I don't think Matthew... He'd almost take that as an insult if he kicked a goal, Matthew Scarlett. He looks to me like a career backman who's happy to be back there, jumper out, socks down, hair everywhere. Don't put me up there with those pretty forwards. Although Brian Taylor was the exception to that rule.
That's a well-taken mark by Cameron Mooney at half-forward. Here's drop punt. Graham in some space. Ball just a little fierce for him, but he picks it up now, Ben Graham, and kicks a goal for the Cats. They're celebrating.
Couple of last quarter specials for the skipper. And there was a stage during the third quarter where he looked like he might have had a little bit of cramp or a bit of tightening in the calf or something. You saw him stretching for a while, but he just had to stay out there because it was going to turn. And I think it hasn't turned the full circle for him, but it's back on the positive side. And a couple of goals late, and he kept trying, he kept persisting, which is the best thing.
He has enjoyed it today, Ben Graham. 2 last quarter goals, but he's got hands on the ball, and he has looked pretty good in the second half of this game. Another ball up in the middle. See, Bartel was very prominent in the first half. All the youngsters for Geelong that we mentioned at half-time have been very good performers. The Rooks, the Bartels, the Ablets, the Fosters have been outstanding contributors to this mammoth victory here today, which currently stands at 121 points as we run out of time. Corey, Clark, Ling. There's 3 of them. Ling finishes inside 50. Rewalt got Graham under the ball. Lord has kicked 6 today. Gives this one off. Don't know whether it travelled 15. Kingsley has marked it. He has kicked 3 as well. And an opportunity to make it 127 points.
There's Trent Noble. Been watching him. He's limping around. Can't get off the ground at all. So that would be another one to add to the St Kilda injury list. He's had a good afternoon, Kent Kingsley. And Aaron Lord, he's crumbed the ball beautifully today.
To make it 127 points, nearing the final siren from beyond 50. Kick coming back across the face. And just the minor score there for Kent Kingsley. Fourth quarter action.
122 points.
Or inaction, Brian, depending on which side you're barracking for. Saints have kicked just 1 goal since half-time.
6 seconds remaining, so the pain's about to end for the Saints. Ozzie Jones will go in short. Cripps has the ball tucked hard against the line. Siren's about to sound. And that is a mammoth victory for the Cats. Mark Thompson and the coaching staff at Geelong will be very impressed. Gary Ablett Jr. and his old man, as he just departs the scene, will also be impressed. But it's a very dark day for the Saints. Just 6 goals for a start, and that hurts. But when the other mob kicked 26, you really haven't enjoyed yourself in a